9 Silkworm Prince charged at Yin Shang and Yang Ye again. Great shatter. 9 Silkworm Prince's leg shadows continued to envelop Yin Shang and Yang Yi. Boom. Their attacks collided once again. However, this time, Yin Shang and Yang Yi retreated rapidly after exchanging only a few moves. Everyone could see fine cracks appear on the surface of Yin Shang and Yang Ye's primordial divine body. Yin Shang and Yang Ye's primordial divine body was indestructible. After exchanging so many moves with Lu Ming hadn't been able to break through his defenses. However, 9 Silkworm Prince had broken through his defenses in just a few moves. 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts. Great Shatter. 9 Silkworm, you've actually cultivated the Great Shatter. Yin Shang and Yang Ye roared in shock. It's the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts. The surrounding spectators also roared in shock. Their hearts were in turmoil, and they could not calm down. Although the power of Origin Secret Arts wasn't weaker than the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts, they were too difficult to cultivate. Severing the 9 shackles was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. However, the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts didn't have such shackles. As long as one's comprehension was high enough and had enough opportunities, they could quickly cultivate to an extremely high level and unleash terrifying power. In addition, there was a legend that the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts were related to a great secret. However, no one had been able to solve it after so many years. Of course, the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts weren't that easy to cultivate. Even if an ordinary person obtained them, they wouldn't be able to unleash their full power. However, 9 Silkworm Prince's talent was terrifying enough. The Great Shatter was already extremely powerful. It's actually the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts. Lu Ming's heart pounded fiercely. He hadn't thought that he'd come across another of the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts, the Great Divine Wind Art, just as he'd obtained one of the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts, the Great Shatter. He didn't know if it was a coincidence or an opportunity. A wisp of greed flashed through Lu Ming's eyes. He cultivated the forbidden physique and needed secret arts the most, not to mention the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts. He had already decided that he had to obtain the Great Shatter. If I hadn't spent all my energy on the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts, I would have broken through to the Divine Emperor realm long ago. You want to fight me? Dream on. 9 Silkworm Prince said coldly. Everyone finally understood why 9 Silkworm Prince was only evenly matched with Yin Shang Yang Yi when he hadn't used the Great Shatter. It turned out that he'd spent all his energy on the Great Shatter. However, once he mastered the Great Shatter, 9 Silkworm Prince's battle power had indeed skyrocketed. It was enough to make up for all his losses over the years. Kill! 9 Silkworm Prince shouted coldly. Dazzling light shone from his body as he charged toward Yin Shang Yang Yi. The 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts are just an ordinary secret art. I don't believe it's that strong. Yin Shang Yang Yi roared. Cold chi surged into the sky as he unleashed all his power toward 9 Silkworm Prince. Bam! Bam! The two clashed again, exchanging 8 moves. Crack! The sound of porcelain shattering rang out as cracks appeared on Yin Shang Yang Ye's body. He retreated rapidly as ice fell from his body. Poof! Yin Shang Yang Yi spat out blood, his face pale. He was no match for 9 Silkworm Prince. He was completely suppressed. So strong. 9 Silkworm Prince's battle power is so strong. Is this the power of the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts? Are the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts that much stronger than the Origin Secret Arts? Many people were shocked. Many people had heard of the 3,000 Ancient Secret Techniques, but very few had seen them. That was because many of the 3,000 Ancient Secret Techniques had been lost. Now that they had seen them, their power was beyond imagination. It's not necessarily the 3,000 Ancient Secret Arts. It depends on the cultivator. If one's talent and comprehension aren't good enough, they'll still be useless. 9 Silkworm Prince is strong because he's talented. 9 Silkworm Prince didn't defeat Yin Shang Yang Yi purely with the Great Shatter. He combined the Origin Secret Arts and the Primordial Divine Body. Some knowledgeable people explained. Chapter 38:13. Everyone nodded. Indeed, how could the Grand Shatter Art be so powerful that it could completely crush Yin Shang and Yang Yi? 9 Silkworm Prince had used all his strength when he attacked, using his Constitution Secret Technique and Origin Secret Technique to the extreme. Combined with the Grand Shatter Art, he was able to defeat Yin Shang and Yang Yi. 9 Silkworm Prince charged toward Yin Shang and Yang Yi after gaining the upper hand. His legs lashed out like a storm at Yin Shang and Yang Yi, and the space cracked like tofu under such terrifying power. Yin Shang and Yang Yi roared and fought with all their might, but they couldn't change anything. Bang, bang, bang. The two clashed continuously, and the terrifying energy of the Grand Shatter Art landed on Yin Shang and Yang Yi. Yin Shang and Yang Yi vomited blood, and his body cracked inch by inch. In the end, he couldn't maintain his primordial divine body form anymore, and he collapsed and returned to his original form. Yin Shang and Yang Ye's body was in tatters, and he was sent flying out of the arena, vomiting blood. He was severely injured. Yin Shang and Yang Yi, this is the difference between us. I lost 10,000 years ago, and I can still lose now. Let me tell you, you're not my match in this life. Also, Yue isn't someone you can pursue. If you know what's good for you, get the hell out of here. 9 Silkworm Prince stared coldly at Yin Shang and Yang Yi. Yin Shang and Yang Yi glared at 9 Silkworm Prince with an ugly expression. But he had lost, and he couldn't refute. The loser had no reason to lose. 9 Silkworm Prince ignored Yin Shang and Yang Yi, and turned to Lu Ming. Mu Yun, I'll give you a chance. With your status, you can't have any interaction with Yue, so cripple your own cultivation, and I'll spare your life. 9 Silkworm Young Master said coldly, commanding Lu Ming. In his view, sparing Lu Ming's life was already a great favor. Whether Lu Ming agreed to marry the elven princess or refused, he couldn't be spared. Crippling his own cultivation was already a way out for him. Hee hee. Lu Ming sneered. This guy was trying to act cool in front of him. How laughable. I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Lu Ming said indifferently. Really? You've seen what happened to Yin Shang Yang Ye. Don't think that you can challenge me just because you fought that piece of trash Yin Shang Yang Ye. Let me tell you, you're still far from enough. 9 Silkworm Prince's eyes were cold and filled with confidence. I really don't know where a quasi-emperor gets the confidence to speak to me, a 7th-level divine lord, like this. With my cultivation, if I were a quasi-emperor, I would be able to suppress him with one finger. Lu Ming laughed mockingly. You're courting death. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted coldly. Lu Ming's words hurt 9 Silkworm Prince's pride. Originally, 9 Silkworm Prince was secretly jealous of Lu Ming. Lu Ming had such combat strength at the 7th-level Divine Lord realm. He was jealous to death. Now that Lu Ming had said this, and the key point was that he was telling the truth, he was instantly enraged. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted coldly and charged at Lu Ming. Whoosh! His leg was like a steel whip, lashing toward Lu Ming. Wherever it passed, there would be a huge explosion in the space, bringing about destructive energy. Although he looked down on Lu Ming, his actions didn't. After all, Lu Ming had fought Yin Shang Yang Ye to a standstill. Therefore, he used his full strength the moment he attacked. Physique secret technique, origin secret technique, great shattering technique. This kick raised his combat strength to the peak. Suppress! Lu Ming waved his hand, and 3 gravity orbs flew out. 100% gravity erupted. Wang! The terrifying gravity pressed down on 9 Silkworm Prince. 9 Silkworm Prince's body trembled. He was greatly affected. After all, when Lu Ming fought Yin Shang Yang Ye, he didn't use the full power of the gravity orbs. At this moment, 100% gravity erupted. The power of the gravity was unprecedentedly strong. 9 Silkworm Prince felt that the divine power in his body seemed to be filled with mercury. It circulated more than 10 times slower, and he felt as if a dozen planets were pressing down on him. Break! 9 Silkworm Prince roared. His legs shook slightly, and the terrifying Great Shattering Technique erupted. The Great Shattering Technique was said to be able to shatter everything. Even the smallest particle could be shattered. Space instantly shattered into pieces, and even the powerful gravity began to distort. But at this moment, Lu Ming also launched an attack. His fist pierced through the void and blasted toward 9 Silkworm Prince. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. His legs shook, and he changed direction to attack Lu Ming's fist. Boom! The attacks of the two collided, causing a violent explosion. The next moment, Lu Ming retreated rapidly. He retreated a few hundred meters before he could stabilize himself. At the same time, he felt a tearing pain coming from his fist. He lowered his head and saw that his fist had been torn apart, and there were cracks all over it. However, Lu Ming's powerful recovery ability quickly healed the injury. Is this the great shattering technique? It's so powerful. Lu Ming was shocked. In the collision just now, Lu Ming felt that a terrifying power had erupted from 9 Silkworm Prince's side. This power directly shattered his various secret techniques, even the forbidden power, and was about to shatter his fist. Even the forbidden power couldn't block it. It was obvious how terrifying this power was. Of course, it wasn't that the forbidden power wasn't strong enough. It was just that Lu Ming's current cultivation was still weak. He was only a 7th level Divine Lord. If Lu Ming was at the Quasi-Emperor realm, the same level as 9 Silkworm Prince, the forbidden power would definitely be able to crush 9 Silkworm Prince. While he was shocked, Lu Ming's heart was also burning with desire. He wanted to obtain the great shattering technique even more. This way he could increase his combat strength. Everything will shatter under the great shattering technique. What can mere gravity do to me? Break for me! 9 Silkworm Prince roared and used all his strength to activate the great shattering technique. Together with his Constitution secret technique and Origin secret technique, the power was boundless. He broke through the gravity and charged at Lu Ming. You think there are only 3,000 ancient secret techniques? Lu Ming sneered. At this moment, he no longer held back and used the Great Divine Wind technique. In an instant, a whirlwind wrapped around Lu Ming's palm. This was the power of the Great Divine Wind technique. It was filled with terrifying cutting and destructive power. Boom! Lu Ming punched out with both fists and collided with 9 Silkworm Prince's leg technique once again. After a series of explosions, this time, the two figures retreated at the same time. Lu Ming and 9 Silkworm Prince retreated more than a dozen steps before regaining their footing. 3,000 ancient secret techniques. How can he know the 3,000 ancient secret techniques? 9 Silkworm Prince's shocked and sharp voice suddenly rang out. It was filled with shock, disbelief, and anger. How could a mere Lu Ming cultivate the 3,000 ancient secret techniques? The scene was also in an uproar. Everyone looked at Lu Ming, tongue-tied. Chapter 38:14. Everyone was flabbergasted and dumbfounded. Lu Ming had also grasped one of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. All this while, Lu Ming still had a trump card. How could a 7th level Divine Lord be so strong? Kid, which one of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques is that? 9 Silkworm Prince stared at Lu Ming. Great Divine Wind technique. Lu Ming said. Great Divine Wind technique. 9 Silkworm Prince's eyes were burning as he stared at Lu Ming. Kid, give me the Great Divine Wind technique. As long as you kneel down and admit defeat, I can waive the condition of crippling my own cultivation. Haha. Lu Ming sneered. He could only sneer. This 9 Silkworm Prince was probably used to being superior since young. Although his cultivation talent was high, his IQ wasn't high. Seeing that he had already used the Great Divine Wind technique, he was still so confident as if he could defeat Lu Ming. Where did his confidence come from? What are you laughing at? 9 Silkworm Prince felt Lu Ming's mockery, and his eyes turned cold. What are you laughing at? You're laughing too self-righteously. Tell me, in my eyes, you're nothing. Do you understand? Lu Ming said. You're courting death. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted. This sentence again. Can't you change it? How about this? If you want the Great Divine Wind technique, I'll give you a chance. Let's make a bet. How about it? Lu Ming said. What bet? 9 Silkworm Prince said. Let's bet on who wins and who loses. The loser has to give the 3,000 ancient secret techniques to the winner. If I lose, I'll give you the Great Divine Wind technique. If I lose, you'll give me the Great Divine Wind technique. How about that? Lu Ming voiced out the purpose in his heart. I won't lose. 9 Silkworm Prince was still very confident. If you say that, then it's meaningless. Let's not fight this battle. Goodbye. Lu Ming turned and was about to leave. Wait. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted. How could he let Lu Ming leave? He was determined to get the Great Divine Wind technique. Do you want to bet? Lu Ming stopped and turned around. All right, I'll make a bet. Whoever loses will hand over the 3,000 ancient secret arts. 9 Silkworm said. The people around him immediately cheered up. Lu Ming and 9 Silkworm Prince actually wanted to bet the 3,000 ancient secret arts. In that case, the two of them would definitely go all out. This battle would be very interesting to watch. Moreover, there would be a clash of ancient secret arts, which was extremely rare. Boom! Lu Ming and 9 Silkworm Prince stood on the battle stage. Powerful qi exploded from their bodies and collided with each other. Wang! Lu Ming waved his hand and continued to control the gravity pearls. The gravity of the 3 gravity pearls erupted, and the terrifying gravity pressed down on 9 Silkworm Buddha Prince. The power of the 3 gravity pearls was extremely terrifying. Even if it was a monarch-grade divine artifact, it would be crushed instantly. 9 Silkworm Prince was also greatly affected. He went all out, using the great art of fragmentation as the edge to break through the gravity and clash with Lu Ming. Lu Ming also used the Great Divine Wind technique. With the Great Divine Wind technique as the core, he used various secret arts to attack 9 Silkworm Prince. Boom! 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 The two of them fiercely exchanged dozens of blows. Lu Ming went all out and used the Great Divine Wind technique to finally block 9 Silkworm Prince's attack. For a moment, the two of them were evenly matched. Amazing! I didn't expect Mu Yun's Great Divine Wind technique to be cultivated to such a level. What terrifying power! This Mu Yun looks very young. According to his life origin, he doesn't seem to be more than 10,000 years old. It's a miracle that he's so terrifying at such a young age. This talent is amazing. Many people sighed. The 3,000 ancient secret arts were rare, but the primitive universe was so big that there would be people who would obtain them. However, obtaining them was one thing, and cultivating them was another. In fact, many people who obtained the 3,000 ancient secret arts tried their best to cultivate them. But in the end, they failed and went back to cultivate the origin secret arts. Techniques were good techniques, but it also depended on the person who used them. However, what they didn't know was that Lu Ming had only cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique for a little more than a year. If they knew, their eyeballs would probably pop out. Lu Ming had cultivated to such a level in a little more than a year. When he erupted, he wasn't any weaker than 9 Silkworm Prince's great art of fragmentation. Of course, this had to do with his talent and comprehension. Ever since he merged with the forbidden power and became a forbidden body, Lu Ming found that his comprehension was getting more and more terrifying. It seemed to be constantly improving. No wonder the forbidden body was called a taboo, and even the heavenly palace was afraid of it. It wasn't without reason. Now that Lu Ming was cultivating ordinary mystic skills, he would be able to succeed easily. In addition, the environment was full of strong winds. Cultivating the Great Divine Wind technique complemented each other and was faster. As a result, Lu Ming cultivated it for more than a year, but its power was comparable to 9 Silkworm Princes for 10,000 years. The two exchanged dozens of blows, and they were evenly matched. 9 Silkworm Prince was a little impatient. One had to know that his purpose here was to suppress Lu Ming. Countless people were watching, and even Ling Yue was watching. But now, he couldn't take down Lu Ming. His anger soared. Die, brat! 9 Silkworm Prince roared, and his attacks became even more violent. Unfortunately, under the suppression of gravity, he couldn't use his full strength and couldn't defeat Lu Ming. 9 Silkworm Prince, I heard that the great art of fragmentation that you've cultivated for 10,000 years is only this powerful? How laughable. You call yourself a genius. Let me tell you, I've only cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique for a year. 3,000 ancient secret arts, such an easy secret art to cultivate, actually took 10,000 years to cultivate. How embarrassing. Lu Ming laughed. More than a year? Everyone who heard this was stunned at first, but then they shook their heads. They didn't believe it at all. How could he cultivate the Great Divine Wind technique to this level in a year? How was that possible? Nonsense. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. He didn't believe it at all. If Lu Ming cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique to this level in a year, then what was he? Trash? No, he was even worse than trash. He couldn't accept it. You're trash, so you don't want to accept the excellence of others. How sad. Lu Ming said proudly. Impossible. Don't think of using such a method to disturb my state of mind. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. The others nodded, thinking that Lu Ming said that on purpose to disturb 9 Silkworm Prince's state of mind and make him reveal a flaw. They guessed right. Lu Ming did want to make 9 Silkworm Prince reveal a flaw, but what he said was the truth. Of course no one would believe it. 9 Silkworm, is this your strength? What are you using to suppress me? If this continues, I'm going to lose. Lu Ming continued. Ah, die. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. His state of mind was indeed a little chaotic. Chapter 38:15. First of all, 9 Silkworm Prince had been full of confidence, as if he could suppress Lu Ming with a flip of his hand. But now, he couldn't even gain the upper hand. He was anxious. Also, Lu Ming said that he had cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique to such a level in a year. Although he didn't believe it, there was no doubt that Lu Ming had cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique in a shorter time than him. To him it had more or less affected him. Therefore, his mental state was a little chaotic, and he wanted to suppress Lu Ming as soon as possible. Once his mental state was in a mess, he would naturally have an opening. 9 Silkworm Prince's body glowed, and a jade sword flew out from between his eyebrows and slashed at the gravity orb. The gravity of the gravity orb was very uncomfortable for him, and he wanted to break through the pressure. Clang! The jade sword slashed at the gravity orb, and there was a loud boom. Unfortunately, the gravity orb was indestructible and couldn't be broken. It only retreated a little, and the gravity was still strong. Now! Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he caught 9 Silkworm Prince's opening. Lu Ming's figure suddenly changed, and like a phantom, he charged at 9 Silkworm Prince, his speed suddenly increasing. Since the Great Divine Wind technique was related to wind, it could not only increase Lu Ming's attack power, but also increase Lu Ming's speed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming appeared on 9 Silkworm Prince's left side, and his palm was like a sword, stabbing 36 times in an instant, all aimed at 9 Silkworm Prince's 3 openings. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. It was too fast, so fast that many people couldn't react in time. 9 Silkworm Prince was worthy of being a peerless genius. He instantly changed his figure, and his leg kicked out like a gust of wind. At the same time, his palm was like a saber, slashing at Lu Ming's neck. This way, 2 of the 3 openings disappeared, and he made up for them. But there was still one more. Lu Ming's palm pierced 9 Silkworm Prince's chest. The terrifying power instantly tore apart 9 Silkworm Prince's defenses, and his muscles and bones were torn apart by the terrifying power. A bloody hole appeared in his chest, and it was penetrating from front to back. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed, and his body frantically retreated. At the same time, he circulated his divine power to seal the wound, and wanted to counterattack. But how would Lu Ming give him such a chance? After injuring 9 Silkworm Prince in one move and gaining the upper hand, 9 Silkworm Prince's fate was already sealed. Whoosh! Lu Ming's attacks were endless. His attacks filled the entire sky. Bang! Bang! 9 Silkworm Prince was hit continuously. Although he was powerful, he could not withstand Lu Ming's attacks. A few more wounds appeared on his body. In particular, one of Lu Ming's moves had hit his head, almost causing his head to explode. His 9 Silkworm Prince's secret was of his body his soul. 9 his soul souls his. His soul was greatly shaken, causing him to be dazed for a moment, and stars appeared before his eyes. 9 Silkworm Prince knew he was in trouble. He roared and launched an all-encompassing attack, using both his hands and legs to force Lu Ming back. But Lu Ming easily dodged his attacks and appeared above 9 Silkworm Prince's head. He ruthlessly kicked 9 Silkworm Prince's face, sending him flying. 9 Silkworm Prince's body flew out of the stage like a broken sack. He lay on the ground, groaning for a long time before crawling up and looking at Lu Ming with murderous intent. 9 Silkworm Prince, you've lost. Hand over the Grand Shatter Art. Lu Ming said. Hand over the Grand Shatter Art? Don't even think about it. Kid, a mere disciple of the Fengdu Sword sect dares to steal my Grand Shatter Art. I'll die. Not only that, but I'll also destroy the Fengdu Sword sect. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed hysterically. His face was distorted, and his eyes were filled with crazed murderous intent. He was really going crazy. His anger soared to the sky. He had lost to Lu Ming. He couldn't accept it. One had to know that there were countless people watching through the illusory heavenly jade, especially Fairy Princess Ling Yue. It was very likely that she was also watching. He had lost all face. When he thought of this, he couldn't wait to cut Lu Ming into 8 pieces and execute Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming. Why did he resist? Why did he not allow him to suppress him obediently and allow him to boast? Haha, this is the genius ranked 49th on the Quasi-Emperor ranking list, the peerless monster of the heavenly silkworm race? Such a trash. Going back on his words and going back on his words after losing. Lu Ming sneered. Shut up, you despicable thing. Shut up. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't shut up. He continued, just now, you said you wanted to send people to destroy my sect? You want to destroy the Feng City Sword Sect? Everyone, brothers and sisters in the universe, you've all seen it. This is what 9 Silkworm said. He wants to rely on the heavenly silkworm race to destroy the Feng City Sword Sect. If something happens to the Feng City Sword Sect, it must be done by the heavenly silkworm race. You must uphold justice, and the heavenly palace must uphold justice. Lu Ming shouted. Everyone looked at each other. Bastard! Some experts of the heavenly silkworm race also watched through the illusory heavenly jade. They couldn't help but curse. They scolded 9 Silkworm and Lu Ming. 9 Silkworm had lost, but he actually talked nonsense and went back on his words in public. He even wanted to take revenge. It was really embarrassing. And Lu Ming said that nothing could happen to the Feng City Sword Sect in the future. Once something happened, it would be blamed on the heavenly silkworm race. Although the heavenly silkworm race didn't take the Feng City Sword Sect seriously, if they really destroyed the Feng City Sword Sect, their reputation would be ruined. Who would cooperate with them in the future? Not only that, their enemies would also use this as an excuse to attack them. After Lu Ming said that, the heavenly silkworm race not only couldn't touch the Feng City Sword Sect, but also had to prevent others from touching the Feng City Sword Sect. Otherwise, they would also have to send people to protect the Feng City Sword Sect secretly. No wonder some experts of the heavenly silkworm race were cursing. 9 Silkworm Prince also slowly calmed down. He knew that it was impossible to destroy the Feng City Sword Sect, but killing Lu Ming was possible. He just had to do it secretly. The murderous intent in his heart was incomparably cold. He stared at Lu Ming fiercely, like a wild beast choosing a human to devour. He must kill Lu Ming. Today, he had embarrassed him so much. It was unforgivable. 9 Silkworm, why aren't you handing over the great art of fragmentation? The heavenly silkworm race is also considered a big race. Is this the kind of person who goes back on his words? Lu Ming stared at 9 Silkworm Prince. I won't hand it over. What can you do to me? What can you do to me? 9 Silkworm Prince sneered. He might as well go all out. After all, he had already embarrassed himself. If he didn't embarrass himself a little more, he wouldn't hand it over. The great art of fragmentation was something he had painstakingly obtained. Hand it over to Lu Ming? He would probably vomit blood. Chapter 38:16. 9 Silkworm Prince looked at Lu Ming arrogantly. He was a peerless monster of the heavenly silkworm race. Now that everyone was watching, he didn't believe that Lu Ming would dare to do anything to him. Bastard! Many former experts of the heavenly silkworm race cursed. 9 Silkworm had truly disgraced the heavenly silkworm race. On a distant and remote planet, the elf princess Ling Yue, wandering spirit, and the others also saw all of this. This Xueqi is really shameless, really shameless. Someone like him actually wants to pursue the young lady. He's really out of his league. Compared to Xueqi, that Mu Yun is much more pleasing to the eye. Yu Ling pouted angrily. Some people come from good backgrounds, but their character is not necessarily good. Ling Yue said. Yu Ling nodded repeatedly. Some people came from good families and were pampered since young. They could get whatever they wanted. No one would go against their wishes. Then when they grew up it would be the same. Even if his talent was astonishing, once he encountered a setback or encountered someone who went against his will, he would not be able to take it. His retarded face would be revealed without a doubt. 9 Silkworm Prince was clearly such a person. He had outstanding talent since he was young and had been nurtured by the heavenly Silkworm clan. It could be said that he could get whatever he wanted. It had also nurtured his self-confidence and character to do as he pleased. In the face of a stronger race, perhaps he would restrain himself a little, but in the face of a weaker race, his personality would undoubtedly reveal itself. What's more, facing Lu Ming, who was an incomparably despicable piece of trash in his heart, he was filled with a sense of superiority. But in the end, he was defeated by Lu Ming. He found it hard to accept, and his ugly side was revealed without a doubt. Lu Ming was so angry that he wanted to laugh. So, you don't intend to hand it over? Very well, if you don't hand it over, Then I'll take it myself. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he stepped into the air and charged towards 9 Silkworm Prince. Mu Yun, how dare you? I'm a peerless genius of the heavenly silkworm race. How dare you touch me? 9 Silkworm roared. There's nothing I don't dare to do. Lu Ming sneered. He sped up, turning into a phantom as he charged at 9 Silkworm Prince. In the blink of an eye, he was above 9 Silkworm Prince's head. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. The violent fist force was like a storm, shrouding 9 Silkworm Prince. 9 Silkworm Prince was shocked. He didn't think that Lu Ming would really dare to attack him. At the critical moment, he resisted with all his might. However, he had just been seriously injured by Lu Ming and simply wasn't a match for Lu Ming. His attack had been defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fist smashed into the 9 Silkworm Prince's face. 9 Silkworm Prince let out a miserable shriek. His handsome face was completely smashed, and his body flew out. The people in front hurriedly left. Before 9 Silkworm Prince could stop, Lu Ming had already caught up to him and stepped on him. Hand over Grand Shatter. Lu Ming said coldly. Don't even think about it, you bastard. How dare you treat me like this? I want you to die. I want you to die a horrible death. Princess 9 Silkworm roared madly. He was completely crazy, his eyes blood red. He was sure that Lu Ming would at most injure him and wouldn't dare to touch him. As long as he escaped, he would madly seek revenge. As for handing over Grand Shatter, it was impossible. You're courting death. Lu Ming's eyes turned completely cold. Did 9 Silkworm Prince really think that he wouldn't dare to touch him? At most, after killing him, he would leave the Fengdu sword sect and find another place to find a new identity. At most, it would take some effort and time. Lu Ming's body emitted a strong murderous intent. A long spear condensed in his hand. Puff, puff. Blood splattered everywhere. Lu Ming's long spear directly pierced through 9 Silkworm Prince's legs, nailing them to the ground. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed, his body twitching non-stop. Although he would be able to recover even if his body was torn apart at his level, the pain wouldn't diminish. The surrounding people gasped in shock. Mu Yun was really daring to treat 9 Silkworm Prince like this. Although 9 Silkworm Prince was a little shameless and didn't keep his word, Lu Ming dealing with 9 Silkworm Prince was reasonable. No one could say anything. But 9 Silkworm Prince was a top monster of the Sky Silkworm race. Wasn't he afraid of the Sky Silkworm race's revenge? Although the Sky Silkworm race wouldn't openly attack the Fengdu sword sect, nor would they send people to deal with Lu Ming, secretly sending an expert to kill Lu Ming, or disguise as Lu Ming dying from qi deviation. It wouldn't be difficult. It could only be said that Lu Ming was very daring. Bastard, I want you dead. I'm going to kill you. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed crazily. Bam! Lu Ming grabbed 9 Silkworm Prince's head and slammed it into the ground. The ground here was set up with a powerful formation, so it was very hard. But 9 Silkworm Prince's head still smashed a big hole in the ground. Bam! 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 Lu Ming didn't stop. He grabbed 9 Silkworm Prince and slammed him into the ground repeatedly. Many people felt their teeth hurt, and a chill ran down their spines. As for 9 Silkworm Prince, it was too horrible to look at. He was soon unrecognizable. But 9 Silkworm Prince still gritted his teeth, his eyes full of resentment. Stubborn. Do you really think I won't kill you? Since you won't hand it over, I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming's body was filled with cold killing intent. He condensed a long spear in his hand again. This time, Lu Ming stabbed at 9 Silkworm Prince's dantian. Poof! The long spear pierced into 9 Silkworm Prince's dantian and pierced his stellar core. At the quasi-emperor level, the stellar core would have 9 stellar rings revolving around it. It had already begun to merge and was showing signs of transforming into a star. After being hit by the long spear, 9 Silkworm Prince's stellar rings trembled and dimmed a lot. Even his stellar core shook violently. With a few cracking sounds, a few cracks appeared on his stellar core. With his stellar core severely damaged, 9 Silkworm Prince spat out mouthfuls of blood. He stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. The resentment in his eyes receded and was finally replaced by fear. Lu Ming actually wanted to destroy his stellar core. Destroying his stellar core was no different from killing him. He had never imagined that Lu Ming would actually have the guts to do so. He was a peerless genius of the heavenly silkworm race. He was high and mighty, with countless heavenly silkworm race experts behind him. Lu Ming, a mere disciple of the Fengdu sword sect, dared to touch him? He didn't believe it before, but now he had to because Lu Ming really did make a move. The murderous intent emitted from his body made him shiver all over. At this moment, the scene was also silent. Obviously, no one had expected Lu Ming to be so audacious. Sect leader Wang and the others from the Fengdu sword sect were pale. If Lu Ming really destroyed or killed 9 Silkworm Prince, the Fengdu sword sect would be under a lot of pressure. Next move, I will completely destroy your stellar core. Lu Ming said coldly. The cold murderous intent made 9 Silkworm Prince feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He didn't doubt that Lu Ming's next move would really destroy him. I'll hand it over. I'll hand over the great shattering art to you. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted in horror. Chapter 38:17. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed in horror. Hand it over. Lu Ming stopped. 9 Silkworm Prince gritted his teeth. He had no choice but to hand over the great fragmentation art. A jade talisman flew out from between his eyebrows and was caught by Lu Ming. Lu Ming scanned it with his spiritual consciousness and found that the jade talisman recorded the great fragmentation art. Lu Ming was overjoyed and put it in his storage ring. Many people were envious. Get lost. Lu Ming kicked 9 Silkworm Prince away but didn't kill him. After all, there were so many people watching and it was being broadcasted through the dreamy heavenly jade. If he killed 9 Silkworm Prince in front of everyone, he might provoke the old monsters of the heavenly silkworm race to deal with him. If he didn't kill 9 Silkworm Prince, those old monsters of the heavenly silkworm race would be too embarrassed to do anything. Lu Ming wasn't strong enough, so he had to be careful. If he was strong enough, he could kill 9 Silkworm Prince. What could the heavenly silkworm race do to him? Damn it! Damn it! 9 Silkworm Prince screamed in his heart. His body seemed to be burning with anger, but he didn't dare to stay. He used his remaining strength and ran away. No one else wants to fight? Lu Ming scanned the surroundings and continued asking. No one dared to answer. Even 9 Silkworm Prince, who was ranked 49th on the Quasi-Emperor's top 100 list, had been defeated. Who else would dare to fight? This time, 9 Silkworm Prince was the strongest among those who had come to the Iron Sea Star Zone. The other Quasi-Emperor geniuses who were even stronger were either geniuses from the top 10 races, cultivating, or traveling. No one had come. After a while, no one came out to fight. Since no one dares to fight, all of you can get lost. Lu Ming scolded coldly and turned to leave. The geniuses present all looked terrible, but no one dared to fight. In the end they all left. Not long after, Lu Ming returned to his residence. Once he was back, Lu Ming took out the jade talisman that recorded the great fragmentation art and read it. A day later, Lu Ming completely memorized the great fragmentation technique in his heart. This was the true great fragmentation technique, there was absolutely no mistake. Lu Ming had cultivated the great divine wind technique, so it was easy for him to determine. However, it wasn't that easy to cultivate it. Even with 9 Silkworm Prince's talent, it took him 10,000 years to make some progress. No matter how heaven-defying his talent was, it was not something that could be successfully cultivated in a short period of time. Of course, if there was an environment suitable for cultivating the great fragmentation technique, it could greatly shorten the time. It was just like cultivating the great divine wind technique. In just over a year's time, he had made some small achievements. Lu Ming wanted to start cultivating immediately, but this place was no longer suitable. That 9 Silkworm Prince was beaten so badly by me, and I even stole the art of fragmentation. I'm afraid he'll take revenge. Lu Ming began to ponder. He wasn't afraid of 9 Silkworm Prince, but he was afraid that 9 Silkworm Prince would bring experts from the heavenly silkworm race to deal with him in secret. Therefore, he planned to leave the Fengdu sword sect first, and wait for the heavenly palace to recruit heavenly soldiers before returning to the Fengdu sword sect to participate in the recruitment as a disciple of the Fengdu sword sect. Thinking of this, Lu Ming wanted to move immediately. But at this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed, and he looked in a direction. The space in that direction began to ripple like water. Then, a figure appeared. Even with Lu Ming's mind, there was a brief moment of absent-mindedness. Because this was a woman, and an astonishingly beautiful woman at that. The woman had a long figure and wore an emerald green dress, like a spirit of all things. This woman was really from the elf tribe. From her pointed ears, it could be seen that she was very similar to the Yu Ling that he had seen some time ago. The Yu Ling was already very beautiful, but compared to this woman, she was overshadowed. If the Yu Ling and this woman stood together, other people's eyes would definitely fall on this woman and ignore the Yu Ling. The woman stepped on the air and walked toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, staring at the woman, and did not speak. You are Mu Yun? The beautiful woman of the elf tribe stood 100 meters in front of Lu Ming and asked. Her voice was extremely pleasant to hear, making people feel as if they were bathed in a spring breeze. Even a person who was in a bad mood would calm down when they heard this voice. Elf princess? Lu Ming nodded silently, and then asked. With such a temperament, Lu Ming speculated that the other party was the elf princess Ling Yue. That's right. Ling Yue nodded and carefully sized up Lu Ming, as if she wanted to see through Lu Ming. But unfortunately, she couldn't get what she wanted. In her eyes, Lu Ming seemed to be wrapped in a layer of fog, unfathomable. Do you really want me to marry you? Lu Ming asked. To be honest, when he first heard that the elf princess wanted to marry him, his first reaction was that the elf princess was very ugly. Otherwise, why would she take the initiative to find someone to marry? It wasn't until the geniuses of various races were envious and wanted to challenge him that he realized that he was wrong. When he saw the other party's true appearance, he knew that he was ridiculously wrong. For someone like the elf princess, her talent, appearance, and background were all top-notch. It was likely that the number of people pursuing her could line up around Fengdu planet. Therefore, he was even more curious. Why did the elf princess want to marry him? Did she take a fancy to his talent? Or to fulfill the engagement? In any case, Lu Ming didn't believe it. I've already asked Wandering Spirit to explain it to you very clearly. The elf princess Ling Yue said. Wandering Spirit said that you want to fulfill the engagement with me? Do you think I would believe such a reason? If you want to fulfill the engagement, why did you do it earlier? You're only here now? Lu Ming said, his tone full of suspicion. I've never seen you before, but I've seen you make a move on the Resource Alliance. Your talent is very high, and you're worthy of me. Is this reason enough? Ling Yue said. A pair of eyes that were as bright as autumn water blinked, as if they could speak. If other men heard Ling Yue's words, their vanity would explode. They would be so excited that they wouldn't be able to control themselves. They would probably agree without thinking. If he didn't agree, he would be a fool. Lu Ming was obviously not an idiot, but he still didn't agree. In the great desolate universe, there are countless geniuses, monsters, and innumerable talents. I'm afraid there are many who are pursuing you. What you're saying is more like lying to a child. Lu Ming said indifferently. There was no such thing as a pie falling from the sky. Moreover, this was no longer a pie falling from the sky, but a drop of gold and silver. It was obvious that something was wrong. If it was because of his charm, he could still believe it. You're really smart. Ling Yue sighed and said, to tell you the truth, my father wants me to marry a genius of the angel race and form a marriage alliance with the angel race to increase the influence of the elf race in the universe. However, that genius of the angel race has a bad character, so I don't want to. But the angel race is no small matter, and it's very difficult to refuse. However, as long as I get married before that, and marry someone who has been arranged to marry me, the angel race will have nothing to say. Chapter 38:18. Oh. Lu Ming responded with an oh. The reason given by Ling Yue was somewhat credible and could be justified. Of course, my marriage to you is not a real marriage, but a fake one. After all, there are no feelings between us. What do you think? Ling Yue said. What do you think? Of course it was to refuse. Lu Ming didn't even agree to a real marriage, and he still wanted to fake it? How could he agree? Moreover, if he agreed to Ling Yue's request, he would have to offend that genius from the angel clan. You can think about it. Although we are fake married, it is because we do not know each other and do not understand each other. As we get to know each other better in the future, it is not impossible for it to become real. Ling Yue's gaze was like water, like a deep pool, causing people to sink into it. If it was an ordinary man, it would definitely be difficult for him to refuse such a condition. Even Lu Ming's heart thumped a few times. Ling Yue's charm was not just for show. Sorry, I already have a sweetheart. Please go back. Lu Ming said. You. You have a sweetheart? Really? Ling Yuwei's eyes, which were like autumn water, were slightly stunned. With a fiancé like her, how could Lu Ming like anyone else? And he would reject her because of others? The more she looked at Lu Ming, the more she felt that it was difficult to see through Lu Ming. It was a miracle that such a person could appear in a small Fengdu sword sect. At the same time, Ling Yuwei felt that her confidence had been dealt a blow for the first time. She had taken the initiative to marry a man, and the two of them were even engaged. She had never thought that the other party would reject her. She was very confident in herself. That was why she had only sent a wandering spirit to pass on the message last time. She didn't expect that Lu Ming would directly reject her. Later on, he even defeated the geniuses of various races who came to challenge him, displaying his terrifying strength and talent. In her opinion, even if it was a fake marriage, no one should be able to reject her if she gave them hope. However, she was still rejected. She was getting anxious. You really don't agree? Ling Yuwei couldn't help but ask again. Of course, I'll say it again. I already have someone in my heart. Moreover, if I agree to your request, I'll have to offend a prodigy of the angel race. It's not worth it. Lu Ming refused again. He did not say that he had a wife because he was now Mu Yun of Fengdu Sword Sect. Mu Yun did not have a wife. If he said that, he would be exposed. As for his sweetheart, that was easy to say. Who didn't have a few sweethearts? You. Ling Yuwei was a little angry. She used all her strength to scrape Lu Ming's eyes a few times, then said, All right, I'll tell you the truth. I want to marry you. Avoiding the geniuses of the angel clan is one reason, and the other reason is because of the life spirit origin stone fragments. What? Lu Ming's pupils constricted when he heard about the fragments of the natal spirit stone. His body emitted a powerful aura and killing intent. Being provoked by Lu Ming's killing intent, Ling Yuwei was shocked and instinctively retreated a distance. You have life spirit vitality stone fragments? Lu Ming stared at Ling Yuwei and asked. At the same time, his muscles trembled slightly as he prepared for a great battle. That's right, I have life spirit origin stone fragments. Unexpectedly, Ling Yuwei directly nodded and admitted it. No wonder you want to marry me. Your real goal is the life spirit origin stone fragments, right? You want to kill me while I'm unprepared and take away the life spirit origin stone fragments on me, right? Lu Ming said coldly as killing intent emerged from his body. You're wrong. Ling Yuwei said. I'm wrong? Lu Ming asked. Yes, you're wrong. Do you think that the owners of the life spirit origin stone fragments will fight to the death the moment they meet? You want to snatch the other party's life spirit origin stone fragments? Ling Yuwei said. Isn't that so? Lu Ming asked again. This was what the stone spirit of the life spirit origin stone fragments had told him. The owners of the life spirit origin stone fragments were destined to be enemies. The moment they met, they would have to fight to the death and snatch the other party's life spirit origin stone fragments. When all the life spirit origin stone fragments were gathered, one would be able to obtain a great opportunity and become the overlord of the universe. This point could be learned from Murong Xueqi in the past. When Murong Xueqi saw him, he wanted to kill him and take away his life spirit origin stone fragments. Of course not. Actually, the owners of the life spirit origin stone fragments don't have to fight to the death. They can cooperate. Ling Yuwei said. Cooperation? That's right. Did you hear the news from Shiling? Ling Yuwei said. That's right. Could it be that what the stone spirit said was false? Lu Ming said. Some of it is true, but some of it is false. The stone spirits have their own selfish motives. As long as they activate all the fragments and swallow all the stone spirits, they will become very powerful and become a complete life spirit stone. Naturally, they will instigate the owners of all the life spirit origin stone fragments to kill each other. If you don't believe me, you can ask the life spirit origin stone spirit. Ling Yuwei said. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. From the very beginning, he had felt that the old fellow was very cunning. In the beginning, he pretended to be an array spirit to deceive them. Lu Ming had never fully believed him. Old fellow, get out here. Lu Ming secretly shouted at the life spirit origin stone spirit. The life spirit origin stone fragments were also carried by his current body. His past self had cultivated all kinds of divine powers, and it was best for him to cultivate peacefully on the Dragon Clan's mother planet. His present self had to travel the universe, and only by bringing these treasures with him would he have a chance to uncover the secrets. With a flash of light, the life spirit origin stone spirit appeared. Muyun, don't listen to this girl's nonsense. She's lying to you. What I said is true. You have to believe me. The life spirit origin stone spirit cried out as if it had suffered a great grievance. After I obtained the life spirit origin stone fragments, I was fooled by the stone spirit at first. In the end, I checked a lot of information and found some information. If you don't believe me, I can show you a portion of the information. Once you see it, you'll know whether it's true or not. Ling Yue said with a very confident expression. Old fellow, tell the truth. Lu Ming stared coldly at the life spirit origin stone spirit. What I said is true. The stone spirit shouted again. It's not too late for you to tell me the truth now. If I find out that you're lying later, I'll destroy you. You should know that I can do it now. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with cold killing intent. Chapter 38:19. After Shirling finished speaking, he looked nervously at Lu Ming, afraid that Lu Ming would attack him. He had always been by Lu Ming's side, so he knew how terrifying Lu Ming was. The taboo power could definitely obliterate him. This old fellow. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. This old fellow was indeed lying to him. There's one thing he's right about. The more fragments you gather, the more benefits you can obtain, but it's not certain. Ling Yue said. Look, I'm not wrong. Shirling seized the opportunity to shout. Get back. Lu Ming hollered. The stone spirit hurriedly flashed and returned to the life soul essence stone fragments. It seems that you know very little about the life spirit origin stone. Ling Yue said. Indeed, very little. You know a lot. Then tell me, what is the origin of the life spirit origin stone? Is it really as shocking as Shirling said? Lu Ming said. Shirling didn't lie to you about this. The origin of the life spirit origin stone is indeed shocking, and even more shocking than what he said. Do you know about the life spirit heavenly court? Ling Yue asked in return. Life spirit heavenly court? What does it have to do with the heavenly palace? Lu Ming asked doubtfully. The heavenly palace knew that the life spirit heavenly court was not listening at all. You should know that the primitive universe is divided into two eras. The first era is the era of the incipient god. A group of primitive gods were born at the beginning of the world. They were incomparably powerful and ruled the primitive universe. The second era is the era of the heavenly palace. At the end of the era of the incipient god, the heavenly palace killed the primitive gods, thus ending the era of the incipient god and opening the era of the heavenly palace. These two eras should not be ruled by the primitive gods and the heavenly palace. In these two eras, the primitive gods and the heavenly palace were supreme. But in fact, during this process, there were some terrifying forces that could even challenge the authority of these two. The life spirit heavenly court was a terrifying force that appeared at the beginning of the era of the heavenly palace. This force was hostile to the heavenly palace and was called the heavenly court. It was extremely powerful. Ling Yue said a lot in one breath. Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. This was really unexpected. He had always thought that the heavenly palace was supreme and that no force could rival it. Even the top 10 races had to behave themselves in front of the heavenly palace. As powerful as the Dragon Clan was, they were still easily exterminated. In history, there was actually a power that could challenge the authority of the heavenly palace, and they were called the heavenly court. From this name alone, one could see how imposing they were. Such a powerful force actually appeared in history? Lu Ming muttered to himself, still in shock. It's very normal. In all the powerful races there are such records. In history, there were more than one power that challenged the authority of the heavenly palace. One must know that in the beginning, there were 9 great heavenly palaces. But now, there are only 5 great heavenly palaces left. From this, one can tell how terrifying those powers are. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming's heart trembled violently once again. He didn't expect that there would only be 5 of the 9 heavenly palaces left. Where did those 4 go? Had they been destroyed? Only a powerful race like the Elf Clan would know these secrets. Lu Ming had never heard of them before. It seemed that there were more secrets hidden in the great desolate universe than he had imagined. It was just that he had never been able to come into contact with them before. What about the life spirit heavenly court? Was it destroyed by the heavenly palace? Lu Ming asked. It's hard to say. Ling Yue frowned slightly and said, The information I found is also very limited. I didn't specify whether the Life Spirit Heavenly Court was destroyed by the Heavenly Palace. However, the Life Spirit Heavenly Court has indeed disappeared. Even one of the 4 great treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, the Life Spirit Origin Stone, has been shattered. Therefore, many people speculate that the Life Spirit Heavenly Court should have been destroyed by the Heavenly Palace. One of the 4 great treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Lu Ming grasped the main point. That's right. Legend has it that the Life Spirit Heavenly Court has 4 great treasures. Each of them has the power to shock the heavens and make ghosts and gods weep. As long as you obtain one of them, you can become a universe overlord. Ling Yue said. Look, I'm not wrong. As long as you gather all the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone, you can become a universe overlord. The Life Spirit Origin Stone seized the opportunity to shout. Shut up! Lu Ming shouted coldly with his spiritual sense, and the stone spirit obediently shut up. There are also legends that the remaining 3 treasures are all in the lost Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Moreover, other than the 3 great treasures, there are countless other precious treasures in the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. For countless years, countless experts have tried to find the whereabouts of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Unfortunately, none of them succeeded. But I found out that the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone might contain clues to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Ling Yue said. The fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone have clues to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Then why don't you just ask the Stone Spirit? Lu Ming said. No, the Stone Spirit doesn't know either. Ling Yue shook her head. This girl is right. I really don't know. Moreover, the Life Spirit Origin Stone has been shattered and I have lost my memories, so I don't know either. The Stone Spirit shouted. I've said everything that needs to be said. How about it? Shall we cooperate? Ling Yue said. Cooperation? How? Lu Ming asked. You and I have a fake marriage. We don't need to get married. We just need to let the outside world know that we're dating. Then, we'll work together to hunt down the other owners of the Life Spirit Origin Stone, seize their Life Spirit Origin Stone, and search for the treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Ling Yue said. Isn't it fine to cooperate? Why do you have to seize other people's Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments? Lu Ming said. That's right, cooperation is fine, but others won't cooperate with you properly. In addition, the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments can be said to be a proof of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The more you collect, the greater the benefits you will receive. In fact, with the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, you can obtain a powerful force. As for what it is exactly, I don't know. I need to explore it myself. If we cooperate, I've already told you all the information I know about the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. To be honest, he was very tempted. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court was a power that could challenge the Heavenly Palace. If they could find the treasures left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, how shocking would that be? Especially the 3 great treasures, they were treasures that countless people would covet. As for the condition, it was only to pretend to be in a relationship with Ling Yue. This condition was not unacceptable. After all, his current identity was Mu Yun. In the future, it would not spread to Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. Moreover, pretending to be in a relationship with such a beauty was also a pleasure. In addition, he had originally planned to leave this place first. It just so happened that he could leave with Ling Yue to investigate the matter of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It was decided so happily. Lu Ming made his decision. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38:20. Alright, I can promise you that, but I'm very curious about something. If you really have a fragment of the Life Spirit Origin Stone, why can't I sense it? Lu Ming asked curiously. Those who possessed fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone could sense each other when they were close to each other. When he first met Murong Qiu Xue, he had easily sensed it. However, even after talking so much with Ling Yue, he still couldn't sense any fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone on her body. My physique is special. I can completely seal and isolate the aura of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. Those who also possess fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone will not be able to sense it for a short period of time. Ling Yue explained. Lu Ming's pupils constricted slightly. Ling Yue was actually able to seal the aura of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, preventing others from sensing them. This shocked Lu Ming, because according to the Life Spirit Origin Stone Spirit, there was no way to do this. Any sealing method could block the prying eyes of others, but as the owner of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, it was very easy to sense them. As for Ling Yue, she was able to seal it so that he couldn't sense it. If this Lu Ming really agreed to marry Ling Yue, he was afraid that Ling Yue would unknowingly take away the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone. Lu Ming even guessed that Ling Yue wanted to fake a marriage with him from the beginning. Avoiding the angel race's geniuses was one of her goals, so she might not have planned to fake a marriage and secretly seize the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone. It was probably because she saw Lu Ming's astonishing talent and battle prowess, and that Lu Ming had never agreed to her request that she revealed the truth. Moreover, there was another benefit. Ling Yue could sense others, and others could not sense her. She could swagger close to the owners of the other Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, and others would not be on guard against her. Then, she would suddenly attack and seize the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. It was simply impossible to guard against. Then what should we do as the first step in our cooperation? Lu Ming continued to ask. The first step is, of course, to work together to seize more Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. Only by gathering more Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments can we obtain more clues. Ling Yue said. Then do you know, other than you and me, who else has the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments? Lu Ming asked. I know one. Ling Yue's gaze turned as she said, this person is a peerless monster from the Blood Demon race, Xueqi. Blood Demon race. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The Blood Demon race was also an extremely powerful race. It was ranked 55th on the Great Desolate 10,000 Races ranking. It was said that the Blood Demon race had a close relationship with the Blood race, one of the top 10 races. What about you? Do you have any news about the other owners of the Life Spirit Vitality Stone? Ling Yue asked Lu Ming. I have one too, Lu Ming said. He was naturally talking about Murong Qiu Shui. You really know? Ling Yue was very surprised. Just now, she had only casually asked and did not have any hope. This was because under normal circumstances, when the owners of the natal spirit stone fragments met, they would definitely fight fiercely until one side died. There were very few who wanted to live in peace. This person is called Murong Qiu Shui. Do you know him? Lu Ming said. Murong Qiu Shui? I've never heard of him. Which race is he from? Ling Yue said with a frown. This person has used the primordial divine body and has many arms. Immediately, Lu Ming described Murong Qiu Shui's appearance. Could it be the Murong family of the multi-handed race? It's very possible. Ling Yue said, her big eyes releasing a dazzling light. I met him in a special world back then. I don't know if he has returned to the Murong family yet. Lu Ming was a little uncertain. Back in the primordial divine spirit world, Murong Qiu Shui had followed the experts of that world into a deeper world. He didn't know if Murong Qiu Shui had come out yet. Thinking of this, Lu Ming thought of the Myriad God. The Myriad God had also entered that deeper world to cultivate, so he didn't know how he was doing now. With the Myriad God's talent, his current cultivation should be extremely terrifying. Lu Ming was looking forward to meeting the Myriad God. We can go take a look first. The Blood Demon race's Xueqi is not easy to deal with. Let's go find Murong Qiu Shui first and then Xueqi. How about it? Ling Yue said. All right, I have no objections. Lu Ming nodded. Murong Qiu Shui wanted to kill him, so it wouldn't be bad if he could take this opportunity to get rid of Murong Qiu Shui. The two of them discussed for a bit before setting off. After setting off, Lu Ming used the Dream Divine Jade to send a message to Sect Master Wang. He told him that he had something to do and would leave the plentiful City Sword sect for a while. If the Heavenly Palace started recruiting heavenly soldiers, he should send him a message. Ling Yue was the elven princess, so she knew much more than Lu Ming. On the way, Ling Yue led the way, bringing Lu Ming to the multi-handed race's Murong family. On the way, Lu Ming learned more about the Life Spirit Heavenly Court from Ling Yue, as well as some other secrets. At the same time, the two of them discussed their next plan. The plan to deal with Murong Qiu Shui was very simple. It was a honey trap. Yes, a honey trap. As long as they came to the Murong family's territory, Ling Yue would take the initiative to appear. With Ling Yue's fame, once she appeared, it would definitely cause a stir. Countless young geniuses would want to pay their respects. If Murong Xueqi had already returned to the Murong family and heard that Ling Yue had appeared, he would definitely pay her a visit. When the time came, Lu Ming would appear. As long as Lu Ming appeared, Murong Xueqi would definitely sense the life spirit source stone fragment on Lu Ming's body. Then, Lu Ming would lure Murong Xueqi away and deal with him. The multi-handed race was also a large race. It was one of the races on the Great Desolate 10,000 races list, ranked around 5,000. The multi-handed race was mainly composed of several large families, and the Murong family was one of them. Although the multi-handed race was much weaker than the elven race, Ling Yue couldn't openly send experts to steal Murong Xueqi's life spirit source stone fragment. There were rules in the Great Desolate universe. A strong race, without any reason, domineeringly dealt with a weak race. It would definitely be protested by the other races and even punished by the Heavenly Palace. Of course, if a weak race provoked a strong race, they would be courting death. However, it was impossible for a strong race to send people to kill their way over when they took a fancy to the treasures of a weak race. Therefore, even if Ling Yue's background wasn't simple, she still had to rely on herself to obtain the life spirit source stone fragment. Also, how precious was the life spirit source stone fragment? Who would dare to expose it so easily? Who would dare to borrow the hands of others? After a period of time, Lu Ming and the others arrived at the area controlled by the Murong family. After arriving here, Ling Yue deliberately appeared to buy divine medicine. As expected, it immediately caused a stir. The news of Ling Yue's appearance quickly spread throughout the entire multi-handed race. Countless geniuses of the multi-handed race went to visit Ling Yue, wanting to interact with her. What if he could win the heart of a beauty? Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-21. On the Divine Arm planet, the Divine Arm Mountain Villa was elegant and unique. Legend had it that it was the place where a senior of the multi-hand race cultivated. After that senior died, the Divine Arm Mountain Villa became a scenic spot. Many prodigies of the younger generation of the multi-hand race would come here to admire the glory left behind by the senior. Huge gatherings would also be held here. This time, many top prodigies of the multi-hand race came forward and invited the fairy princess Ling Yue to gather at the Divine Arm Mountain Villa. Ling Yue gladly agreed, and the prodigies of the multi-hand race were ecstatic. Rumor had it that Ling Yue was incomparably cold and arrogant. Normally, she wouldn't accept the invitation of others. However, this time, she had accepted the invitation of the prodigies of the multi-hand race. Naturally, they were ecstatic. In an instant, a large number of prodigies of the multi-hand race rushed towards the Divine Arm planet. It was said that many prodigies of the multi-hand race were in seclusion and had temporarily ended their seclusion to rush to the Divine Arm planet, wanting to take the opportunity to befriend Ling Yue. Not only that, but some prodigies of other races who were traveling in the territory of the multi-hand race also rushed to the Divine Arm planet after hearing the news. Therefore, on this day, a large number of prodigies gathered at the Divine Arm Mountain Villa. Not only were there from the multi-hand race, but there were also people from other races. Lu Ming naturally sneaked into the Divine Arm Mountain Villa as a prodigy of another race. By the way, have you seen the fairy princess Ling Yue? Beside Lu Ming, some youths began to discuss. I've seen a portrait in the Dream Divine Jade. She's truly a peerless goddess. It's said that she's even prettier and more elegant than in the Dream Divine Jade. The key is that her talent is high. Indeed, there are so many peerless prodigies in the primitive universe. It's easy to imagine how many of them can enter the Pearl list. Normally, with our status, we wouldn't be able to see them at all. I didn't expect to see them today. How great would it be if I could marry the fairy princess? Stop dreaming. You think you can do it? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? If it were me, it would be more like it. What did you say? You rotten sweet potato. You're the one who's dreaming. The scene was in an uproar. Many people gathered together to discuss. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. I heard that the elven princess wanted to marry someone called Mu Yun, but she was rejected by Mu Yun. Have you heard? I heard about it. Humph. That Mu Yun is just a disciple of a small force. He's so arrogant. If I see him, I'll teach him a lesson. Suddenly, someone changed the topic to Lu Ming. Immediately, flames of anger appeared in their eyes. It was as if Lu Ming had killed their fathers. Lu Ming smiled wryly. He began to wonder if it was a mistake to cooperate with the elven princess. Lu Ming muttered a few words before looking around. What made Lu Ming disappointed was that he could not find any trace of Murong Xueqi. The elven princess has arrived. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in a trembling voice. In the sky, a figure walked over. It was Ling Yue. So beautiful. Many people revealed infatuated looks as their eyes widened. Immediately, a few of the most famous geniuses of the multi-armed race soared into the sky to welcome Ling Yue. They welcomed Ling Yue into a pavilion. The pavilion was already filled with fine wine and delicacies. Princess Yue, I heard that you want to marry that Mu Yun? Immediately, someone asked. That's right, Mu Yun and I have an engagement. Ling Yue whispered. So what if there's an engagement? That Mu Yun is arrogant and conceited. In my opinion, it's fine if we don't fulfill this engagement. With a person like Princess Yue, how can that Mu Yun be worthy? A youth with 4 arms said with a proud face. The meaning behind his words was that he was worthy of Ling Yue. However, Ling Yue pretended not to hear his hint. That's right. If there's a chance, I will definitely suppress that Mu Yun and vent my anger for Princess Yue. Another genius spoke up. Then, there was a burst of excitement. Ling Yue replied absent-mindedly as she looked at Lu Ming. She was asking about Murong Xueqi. However, the attention of the geniuses at the side was 100% focused on Ling Yue. They saw Ling Yue's every move. Ling Yue had peeked at Lu Ming time and time again, so they naturally discovered it. Could it be that Princess Yue has taken a fancy to this pretty boy? Impossible, absolutely impossible. These people began to fill in the blanks. When Lu Ming saw Ling Yue looking at him, he naturally had to respond and slightly shook his head. Nest, what does this mean? When the others saw this, they couldn't help but let their imaginations run wild. The speed at which their brains filled in the blanks suddenly increased. Could it be that Ling Yue and Lu Ming were exchanging glances with each other? Ling Yue had taken a fancy to Lu Ming and hinted to Lu Ming, but Lu Ming shook his head and refused. His heart ached. Many geniuses felt their hearts ache. They said all sorts of nice things and revealed their best side, but Ling Yue didn't even look at them. As for Lu Ming, he sat there without saying a word, but he kept receiving Ling Yue's attention. Why was that? Was it because he was good-looking? Could good looks be eaten? Unhappy. These geniuses were jealous and unhappy. When they saw Ling Yue look at Lu Ming again, many of them exploded. It's a rare gathering today. With Princess Yue here, why don't we spar a little to help with the wine? A young man stood up and said. That's right, sure. All right. Many people responded. Then, a young man with 4 arms looked directly at Lu Ming. Brother, I see that you have an extraordinary appearance. Why don't we spar? The 4-armed youth said. The first one to challenge me? Lu Ming was stunned. However, the aura of the 4-armed youth was clearly locked onto him. There was no mistake. He was just sitting here. Why was this person staring at him? Could it be because of Ling Yue? How smart was Lu Ming? He immediately thought of the flirting with Ling Yue just now. These people were probably jealous. Of course, Lu Ming wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. Since this brother wants to spar, then let's spar. Lu Ming stood up and took a step forward. The two of them soared into the air and stood high in the sky. Then, their auras erupted. The 4-armed youth's cultivation was at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, the same as Lu Ming. Lu Ming had never hidden his aura. Just now, he had seen that Lu Ming was at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, which was why he challenged Lu Ming. You and I are at the same level. I want to see what abilities you have and how many moves you can take from me. Remember, cultivators are not ordinary people. It's not enough to be good-looking. Looks are just skin and are useless to us. The 4-armed youth said proudly. Then, divine light burst forth, and 4 sabers appeared on his 4 arms. Make your move, Lu Ming said coolly. Towards a person at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, he really couldn't raise his interest. In a battle of the same level, he had not encountered many people who could fight along the way. Not to mention, he had a taboo body now. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-22. Lu Ming said nonchalantly. In the 4-armed youth's eyes, Lu Ming was being arrogant and looking down on him. Hence, he was even more furious. Humph! You're just a human. Let's see what you have to be arrogant about. Take my 4-saber stream. Infinite slash. The 4-armed youth roared and dashed towards Lu Ming. His 4 sabers spun wildly and slashed towards Lu Ming. The 4 sabers seemed to have become a whirlpool of sabers, trying to swallow Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression did not change. He was still watching calmly. Is this brat scared out of his wits? Why isn't he fighting back? Does he think he can easily take Shangguan Yunshu's attack? Shangguan Yunshu is a supreme talent of the multi-hand race. He's famous in the multi-hand race. Not many people can compare to him. Humph! This brat is either scared out of his wits or he's courting death. Someone sneered. At this moment, Shangguan Yunshu's attack was about to land on Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. Boom! Lu Ming threw out a punch, causing the air to tremble. The violent fist force was like a transparent pillar of air that blasted towards the whirlpool formed by Shangguan Yunshu's saber. With a loud bang, the whirlpool of sabers disappeared without a trace. At the same time, Shangguan Yunshu's body flew back with a scream. He fell straight down and landed heavily on the ground. His body was covered in blood. His clothes were tattered, and there were wounds all over his body caused by the force. Shangguan Yunshu was defeated in one move. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Most of the people present were supreme talents of the multi-hand race. Naturally, they knew Shangguan Yunshu. They knew that Shangguan Yunshu's combat strength was top-notch, but they did not expect him to be defeated by Lu Ming so easily. It seems that this brat is quite strong. Thoughts flashed through many people's minds. Interesting. Brat, you're quite strong, but you're too arrogant. Let me take you on. Another young man sneered. A cold aura enveloped Lu Ming. This was an 8th-level Divine Lord multi-hand race's prodigy. I'm arrogant? Lu Ming was speechless. He hadn't said a word from the beginning to the end, okay? How was he arrogant? This youth was probably just finding a reason for himself to make a move. After all, he was an 8th-level Divine Lord, 1 level higher than Lu Ming. He was suspected of using force to suppress the weak, afraid that Ling Yue would look down on him. If you want to make a move, then make your move. Cut the crap. Lu Ming said indifferently. Humph. The young man snorted coldly and was about to make a move. At that instant, more than 10 figures could be seen flying toward them rapidly from the distance. They were the Sky Prides of the multi-hand race. These Sky Prides must have traveled a long way, which was why they had only just arrived. At the same time, Lu Ming felt the Vitality Stone fragment in his body tremble violently. Murong Qiu Shui. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly flickered a few times. He was ecstatic. Among the dozen or so people behind him, who else could the leader be but Murong Qiu Shui? Murong Qiu Shui had indeed left the primordial world and was lured out by Ling Yue. Their plan had already succeeded by half. On the other side, Ling Yue also looked at Murong Qiu Shui. Clearly, she had also sensed the Vitality Stone fragment in Murong Qiu Shui's body. However, Ling Yue had used a special method to seal the aura of the Vitality Stone fragment, so Murong Qiu Shui couldn't sense it. However, he could sense the aura of the Vitality Stone fragment in Lu Ming's body. Swish! Murong Qiu Shui's eyes emitted a resplendent divine light as he stared at Lu Ming. A burning light flashed in the depths of his eyes. However, Murong Qiu Shui didn't attack immediately. With so many people here, the news of the Vitality Stone fragment couldn't be spread. Lu Ming and Murong Qiu Shui looked at each other. Their eyes flickered, indicating that they had also sensed the other party's Vitality Stone fragment. Kid, make your move. The 8th-level Divine Monarch multi-hand race prodigy stared at Lu Ming and shouted. All right, then I'll play with you. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. After saying this, he charged at the other party. A light sword condensed in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming held the light sword and charged at the other party, taking the initiative to attack. The other party gave a cold snort and 5 arms appeared on his body. In the multi-hand race, the more arms one had, the higher their talent. This person's talent was even higher than Shangguan Yunshu's. This person was a very famous prodigy in the multi-hand race. His name was Shangguan Yunqing. Swish, swish, swish. Shangguan Yunqing held 5 sabers in his hand and slashed out. 5 saber lights cut through the void and slashed at Lu Ming. Clang! Clang! The saber lights and Lu Ming's sword lights constantly clashed. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no victor. Of course, it wasn't that Shangguan Yunqing was so powerful that he could fight Lu Ming with a cultivation 1 level higher than Lu Ming. Rather, Lu Ming deliberately fought to a draw with Shangguan Yunqing. He didn't use much strength at all. Seeing Murong Xueqi come, Lu Ming naturally wouldn't reveal his strength. Otherwise, what would he do if he scared Murong Xueqi? Scaring Murong Xueqi wasn't part of their plan. Soon, the two of them exchanged over 100 blows. At this time, Lu Ming began to gain the upper hand. Even so, it shocked the surrounding people. Lu Ming was actually slowly suppressing Shangguan Yunqing with a cultivation 1 level lower. It was shocking. Ah! Shangguan Yunqing roared and used all his strength. The sabers in his 5 arms seemed to turn into 5 divine lights, so fast that they couldn't be seen clearly. He was already using all the strength he could muster. Humph! Watch me defeat you in 1 move. 1 sword culled 19 provinces. Lu Ming roared. His sword light suddenly exploded, breaking Shangguan Yunqing's saber light in 1 fell swoop, leaving a deep sword mark on his body. Shangguan Yunqing retreated. His body was almost cut in half, suffering heavy injuries. You've lost, Lu Ming said in a very arrogant tone. The move he called out just now was fake. There was no such move at all, it was just a bit more power. Lu Ming knew that he had to use some powerful trump cards to show his extraordinariness. This was because the Life Soul Source Stone fragment only chose top-level monsters. So, he couldn't appear too weak or too strong. Otherwise, it would arouse Murong Xueqi's suspicion. Shangguan Yunqing unwillingly retreated. I'll fight you. At this moment, another multi-handed race genius stood out, wanting to challenge Lu Ming. But now, Lu Ming didn't have the heart to accept his challenge, so he directly refused. I suddenly remembered that I have something to do, so I'll be leaving. Lu Ming cupped his fists and stepped into the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye. You want to avoid me? Seeing Lu Ming leave, Murong Xueqi sneered in his heart. The corners of his mouth curled up and his eyes revealed a cold glow. In his opinion, Lu Ming must have sensed the Life Soul Source Stone fragment in his body and was afraid that he would make a move. So he left early to avoid Murong Xueqi. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-23. In Murong Xueqi's eyes, Lu Ming had left early to avoid him. But was it that easy to avoid him? It was clearly impossible. You all stay here. I have something to do, so I need to leave first. Murong Xueqi ordered the youths who came with him. Then he came in front of Ling Yue and said goodbye to her before quickly leaving. We're about to succeed. Now it's up to Mu Yun. Seeing Murong Xueqi leave, Ling Yue was filled with joy. Murong Xueqi did not head in Lu Ming's direction at first because it would be too obvious. Once Lu Ming left, he headed in the same direction as Lu Ming, which would make people think. After he left the God Arm Manor, he used his full speed to chase after Lu Ming. Lu Ming's speed was not fast. After he left, he directly flew out of the God Arm planet and into the starry sky. With his current speed, even if he did not fly at full speed, he was still shockingly fast. He kept moving through the starry sky and soon he was far away from the God Arm planet. Whew! Suddenly, Lu Ming stopped in his tracks and stared intently at the void in front of him. You really are worthy of being the person who obtained the Life Soul Source Stone fragment. Your spiritual sense is truly sharp. A cold voice rang out. Following that, the void that Lu Ming was staring at rippled and a figure appeared. This figure was Murong Xueqi. After chasing for a while, he finally caught up to Lu Ming. You're finally here, Lu Ming softly said. Murong Xueqi had caught up, so he did not need to pretend anymore. Of course I'm here, we don't need to hide anymore. Hand over the Life Soul Source Stone fragment on you and I can let you live, I'll spare your life. Murong Xueqi coldly said. If I hand over the Life Soul Source Stone fragment, will you let me go? Aren't you afraid that I'll reveal the disappearance of the Life Soul Source Stone? Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Murong Xueqi's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he said with a cold smile. It seems like you're not stupid. When he said he would let Lu Ming go, it was just a casual remark. Naturally, he would not let Lu Ming go. He had snatched Lu Ming's life soul essence stone fragment and let Lu Ming go. Lu Ming would definitely leak the news of the life soul essence stone. How could he let Lu Ming go? You want to kill me? Let's see if you can do it. Lu Ming said. Humph. Do you think that with your 7th level Divine Lord cultivation, you can contend with me? How naive. Murong Xueqi gave a cold laugh. As soon as his voice fell, a blade glow appeared in his hand. It was a flying dagger. Its speed was astonishing as it pierced towards Lu Ming's glabella. Quasi-Emperor. As soon as he made his move, Lu Ming could sense that Murong Xueqi's cultivation had already reached the Quasi-Emperor realm. Back in the primordial divine spirit world, Murong Xueqi's cultivation had only just broken through to the 1st level Divine Lord realm. In just a few years, he had already reached the Quasi-Emperor realm. It could be imagined that Murong Xueqi had also obtained a great opportunity during this time. In fact, those who could obtain the recognition of the Life Soul Essence Stone Fragment all had terrifying talent and great opportunities. They were all geniuses among geniuses, 1 in a billion heroes. The flying dagger's speed was extremely shocking, instantly approaching Lu Ming. Dang! At the critical moment, Lu Ming sent out a punch, blocking the flying dagger. The two exploded with a heaven-shaking explosion, and then Lu Ming quickly retreated. He felt a bloody mark appear on his fist. Such shocking attack power. Lu Ming felt that the power of Murong Xueqi's attack was close to the attack power of the small dagger. You can actually take my dagger? Not bad. You are worthy of being recognized by the Life Soul Meteorite Fragment. It seems like you were hiding your strength before. Murong Xueqi was very surprised to see Lu Ming take his dagger. With Lu Ming's previous performance, he definitely wouldn't be able to take this dagger. Use your full strength, otherwise, you won't have a chance to use it in the future. Lu Ming said. No chance to use it? Ha ha, could it be that you want to kill me? Murong Xueqi laughed. Although Lu Ming's strength wasn't bad, he hadn't used his full strength just now. Did Lu Ming think that he could kill him? Too naive. A powerful aura erupted from Murong Xueqi's body. At the same time, he used his origin secret technique. His origin secret technique was still a set of flying daggers. But compared to before, Murong Xueqi's origin secret technique was many times stronger. It had already severed 3 shackles. At the same time, he turned into a primordial divine body, a giant primordial divine spirit with 9 arms. Die for me! Murong Xueqi roared. The 9 flying daggers pierced through the air, killing Lu Ming with terrifying might. This person's battle strength was shockingly strong. He wasn't much weaker than the 9 silkworm prince of the heavenly silkworm race. This was where his confidence came from. Not to mention that Lu Ming was only a 7th-layer divine monarch. Even if Lu Ming was a quasi-emperor, he was confident that he could kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly. In an instant, he activated the battle incantation, which increased his combat power by 5 times. All the cells in his body trembled continuously, activating all the energy within them. Hong, hong, hong. Lu Ming punched out continuously. Terrifying fist energy erupted, continuously attacking Murong Xueqi's flying daggers. Every time they collided, there would be a huge explosion in the starry sky. The terrifying energy and dagger light swept across the starry sky for billions of miles. Countless meteorites exploded. Shill. A dagger light split a giant resource planet in half. A terrifying fist energy hit a star, creating a passageway in the middle of the star. It almost caused the star to explode. In an instant, the two exchanged more than 50 moves, but there was no clear winner. It had to be said that Murong Xueqi's battle strength was really strong. With his battle strength, he was close to the 9 silkworm prince. Even if he was placed in the top 100 quasi-emperors list, he would be ranked in the 50s. However, Murong Xueqi was even more shocked. With his battle strength, he couldn't take down Lu Ming. How much strength had Lu Ming hidden before? It was too terrifying. With Lu Ming's battle strength, why did he seem to be afraid of him and leave in a hurry? Not good, I've been tricked. This person deliberately lured me out. With a flash of inspiration, Murong Xueqi guessed Lu Ming's goal. You deliberately lured me out, right? Are you confident that you can deal with me? Murong Xueqi roared and raised his battle strength to the peak. A set of flying daggers fused together, forming a giant flying dagger. Shill. The giant flying dagger flew at Lu Ming. It was terrifying to the extreme. Great Divine Wind Technique. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He used the Great Divine Wind Technique and also raised his battle strength to the peak, attacking Murong Qiu Shui. With a heaven-destroying explosion, the giant flying dagger shattered. Murong Qiu Shui spat out a large mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-24. When Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind Technique, Murong Qiu Shui finally couldn't resist and was forced back by Lu Ming's attack while coughing out blood. Great Divine Wind Technique, are you Mu Yun? Murong Qiu Shui roared out. The matter between Mu Yun and Ling Yue had caused a stir. So how could Murong Qiu Shui not know? Thinking about how Ling Yue had suddenly appeared here, he was even more certain that the person in front of him was Mu Yun, a young heaven's pride that knew the Great Divine Wind Technique and had a relationship with Ling Yue. If it wasn't Mu Yun, who else could it be? He naturally wouldn't think that the person in front of him was Lu Ming from the primordial world. The current Lu Ming had used the three-corpse beheading technique to create his current body, which was a pure forbidden body. His life origin aura had undergone a fundamental change, so he naturally couldn't recognize him. I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming coldly said. His body was wrapped in wind as he charged at Murong Qiu Shui. With a palm, it was like a cosmic storm had swept through the starry sky, sweeping through the vast starry sky. Murong Qiu Shui was enveloped by the endless wind, like a small boat in the sea. Murong Qiu Shui roared out as he charged forward with all his might, wanting to break through. However, he was already injured, so it was even harder for him to break through Lu Ming's attack. Pang! Pang! In the endless wind, the two of them continued to exchange blows. After a few moves, Murong Qiu Shui was hit by Lu Ming again. Half of his body exploded and he was heavily injured. Don't even think about killing me. Murong Qiu Shui's eyes were blood red as his divine power burned. He went all out and in the end, even his primordial divine body began to burn. Xiao! He turned into a resplendent blade light and charged to the other side of the starry sky, wanting to escape. He went all out like this, but he was actually able to break through the wind and was about to charge out. However, Lu Ming's expression was very relaxed. There was no change at all and he wasn't in a hurry to chase after him. Because there was no need to rush to chase after him, he had already released Qiu Qiu. Xiao! In the starry sky, a moonlight spear light shot out, stabbing at Murong Qiu Shui. The moon-colored spear glow was incomparably sharp. It broke through the void and released a terrifying whistling sound. It contained a destructive power that made Murong Qiu Shui's face pale with fright. He gathered all his strength and turned it into a flying dagger, blocking in front of him. Clang! The moonlight spear light collided with the flying knife light. A dazzling light appeared and in the next moment, the flying dagger's blade glow was shattered. The moon-colored spear glow did not stop as it stabbed into Murong Qiu Shui, piercing through his body. The lower half of Murong Qiu Shui's body had been completely blown apart, leaving only his head and chest intact. His injuries were extremely serious, leaving him extremely weak. He no longer had the strength to fight. With a flash of moonlight, Qiu Qiu's silver spear appeared, turning back into a ball. Its mouth was filled with sharp teeth as it stared at Murong Qiu Shui. Metallic life form? How did you get this metallic life form? Murong Qiu Shui stared right at Qiu Qiu with eyes filled with disbelief. He recognized Qiu Qiu. In the past, Lu Ming had combined with Qiu Qiu to defeat him. Although the metallic life forms looked very similar, after carefully sensing it, he could still recognize that this metallic life form belonged to Lu Ming. Why would Lu Ming's metallic life form appear by Mu Yun's side? Mu Yun was Lu Ming? Impossible, their life source auras were completely different. This could not be faked. He definitely would not make a mistake. This metallic life form originally belonged to me, so of course it's by my side. What? How long has it been and you already don't recognize me? Lu Ming stepped through the air. While he spoke, his appearance began to change, turning into Lu Ming's original appearance. Murong Qiu Shui saw Lu Ming's appearance and his pupils rapidly shrank. Lu Ming. You are Lu Ming. Impossible. How could you be Lu Ming? Your life source, how could it change? Murong Qiu Shui gave a hysterical roar. The great desolate universe is endless and there are countless secret techniques. How could you know? I used a secret technique to change my life source aura. Murong Qiu Shui, I didn't kill you in the primordial god world, but it's not too late to kill you now. Lu Ming coldly said as he stepped through the air with the endless wind. With Lu Ming's words, Murong Qiu Shui was certain that the person in front of him was Lu Ming. Like this, it was even harder for him to accept. He gave a hysterical roar. No, impossible, this is impossible, I'm not willing. He felt slightly better if he had been defeated by the world-renowned Mu Yun. However, he could not accept the fact that he had been defeated by Lu Ming. During this time, he had obtained a large opportunity and wildly improved in all aspects. Compared to the past, he could not be compared at all, he was much stronger. He had been filled with confidence before that if he met Lu Ming again, he could suppress Lu Ming with a single finger. It was a pity that when he met Lu Ming, he was still not a match for Lu Ming. This blow to him was just too big. I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming coldly said. Without wasting words, he charged at Murong Qiu Shui with the endless wind. The current Murong Qiu Shui did not have any strength to fight back. He could not dodge Lu Ming's attack at all. With an unwilling pitiful cry, Murong Qiu Shui was turned to ashes in the wind. Even his soul could not escape. However, Lu Ming had a sense of propriety. He still kept Murong Qiu Shui's storage ring. In addition, after Murong Qiu Shui turned to ashes, a white light flashed and flew off into the distance. Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Lu Ming could see with a single glance that it was a Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment that wanted to escape. A Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment would normally choose its master. If it did not recognize its master, it would escape. But now it had no choice. Qiu. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Qiu. Qiu's body flashed and appeared in front of the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Its body wriggled and turned into a large net, blocking the path of the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Lu Ming reached out with his hand and with endless wind, he grabbed at the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. The Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment did not have any power on its own and could not escape at all. Lu Ming grabbed it. Let me go, let me go. An old man appeared on the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. He looked exactly the same as the rock spirit in Lu Ming's Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. This was also the rock spirit. But this rock spirit had a look of horror on its face, as if it knew that it was in trouble. Ha ha ha, great. Let me swallow him. This way, the two Life Spirit Source Stone Fragments confused together. The life spirit in Lu Ming's body, the rock spirit, shouted excitedly. Go! Lu Ming used the forbidden power to control the rock spirit and then released his Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Lu Ming's life spirit, the rock spirit, immediately pounced at the rock spirit and tore at it. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-25. The stone spirit of Murong Qiu Shui's life soul source stone struggled wildly, but Lu Ming controlled it with his forbidden power. It couldn't break free at all and couldn't even resist. It couldn't resist and could only be beaten. Soon, Lu Ming's stone spirit swallowed a piece of it and it became weaker and weaker. You swallowed me, but you'll be swallowed by others sooner or later. The stone spirit let out an unwilling roar and cursed Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit. But in the next moment, its roar came to an abrupt end because it had been shattered by Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit and was crazily absorbing it. After absorbing Murong Qiu Shui's life soul source stone spirit, Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit glowed and its aura became stronger and more condensed. And that life soul source stone spirit also merged with Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit. Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit grew in size and shined brightly. How is it? Did you make any progress after swallowing the other stone spirit? Or, do you know more about the life soul heavenly court? Lu Ming asked the stone spirit. The stone spirit burped and said with a satisfied look, I've learned some things. I'm afraid that the heavenly court life spirit hasn't disappeared yet. It's still floating in the vast universe. Also, the 9 life soul palaces under the heavenly court life spirit haven't been destroyed yet. If we can find the heavenly court life spirit and the 9 nether soul palaces, we'll gain endless treasures. What? The life soul heavenly court and the 9 life soul palaces are still there? Lu Ming was shocked. Wasn't the life soul heavenly court destroyed by the heavenly palace? I don't know the details. Maybe the ruins are still there and the experts of the life soul heavenly court have all died. The life soul source stone spirit said. Lu Ming nodded. That was possible. The life spirit heavenly court was the mortal enemy of the heavenly palace. How could the heavenly palace allow the life spirit heavenly court to exist in the world? If so, how could they maintain the status of the heavenly palace? Lu Ming's heart began to burn. If the life soul heavenly court still had 9 life soul palaces floating in the universe, it would be a great opportunity to find them. This was because if they were controlled by the heavenly palace, they would not be allowed to wander freely in the universe. Floating in the universe meant that it was not under the control of the heavenly palace. Then do you know where the life spirit heavenly court or the 9 life spirit palaces are? Lu Ming asked. I don't know. The rock spirit answered very straightforwardly, which greatly disappointed Lu Ming. Lu Ming put away the fragments of the life spirit essence stone. He did not linger and left in a flash. A few days later, Lu Ming arrived at a remote planet and waited, because this was the place where he and Ling Yue had agreed to meet. Sure enough, not long after, Ling Yue walked through the air like a fairy from a painting. How is it? Did you succeed? Ling Yue asked with a smile. Actually, when she saw Lu Ming appear here, she knew that Lu Ming had succeeded. Lu Ming nodded and said, Murong Qiu Shui's life spirit stone fragment has already fused with mine. When I obtain the next life spirit stone fragment, it will be yours. No problem. Ling Yue smiled and then asked expectantly, You fused with Murong Qiu Shui's life spirit stone fragment. Did you get any news? News about the life spirit heavenly court? Almost none. Lu Ming did not hide anything and told her the news that the rock spirit had told him. Ling Yue was also a little disappointed. Next, let's go find the blood demon race's Xueqi. Ling Yue said. Now, you should tell us how we are going to deal with Xueqi, right? You should have a plan, right? Are you still going to rely on the beauty trap? Lu Ming asked. Of course not. Ling Yue shook her head and said, I've studied Xueqi for a long time. Xueqi is much harder to deal with than Murong Qiu Shui. It's impossible to rely on the beauty trap because this person is a cultivation maniac and has no interest in women. Moreover, this person's combat strength is very strong. Although his cultivation is only at the Quasi-Emperor realm, he is ranked 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Even many Quasi-Emperor realm monsters of the top 10 races have been defeated by him. 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. He had fought with 9 Silkworm Prince before and knew how terrifying he was. However, 9 Silkworm Prince was only ranked 49th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Xueqi, on the other hand, was ranked 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. He was definitely standing at the peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm in the universe. His combat strength was most likely extremely terrifying. According to Lu Ming's knowledge, Ling Yue was ranked 16th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. In a one-on-one battle, she was probably not a match for Xueqi. This was also the reason why Ling Yue had not made a move. Now that she had Lu Ming's help, she decided to make a move. Yes, but the most troublesome thing about Xueqi is not his strength, but his cautiousness. This person cultivates the blood demon doppelganger technique and can cultivate multiple doppelgangers. Usually, when he is outside, or when he encounters something, it is his doppelgangers who take action. A treasure like the Life Spirit Source Stone fragment will definitely be carried by Xueqing's main body. Even if we kill his doppelgangers, we won't be able to obtain the Life Spirit Source Stone fragment. Ling Yue explained. Lu Ming frowned. According to this, Xueqi was indeed very difficult to deal with. He was far from being comparable to Murong Qiu Shui. You must have a plan. Tell me everything. Lu Ming said. I do have a plan. The first step of the plan is to lure out Xueqing's main body. If we want to lure out Xueqing's main body, there is only one way, which is to rely on the Blood God fruit. Ling Yue said. Blood God fruit. That's right. Xueqi cultivates the Blood Demon Divine Body, which is a very powerful physique secret technique. The Blood God fruit has an extremely shocking effect on cultivating the Blood Demon Divine Body. In fact, the Blood God fruit has an extremely strong effect on people who cultivate the Blood Dao. However, the Blood God fruit has a special characteristic. Once it is picked, it must be consumed in a short period of time. Otherwise, the medicinal properties of the Blood God fruit will quickly dissipate. Therefore, as long as there is news of the Blood God fruit, Xueqing's main body will definitely make a move. This is because even if he uses his doppelgangers to obtain the blood god fruit, he won't be able to absorb it in a short period of time. Ling Yue said. So, you already have news of the blood god fruit? Lu Ming said. That's right. After many investigations, I do have news of the blood god fruit. Ling Yue nodded. However, have you thought of a problem? Even if we have news of the blood god fruit and release the location of the blood god fruit, can the two of us deal with Xueming? As long as Xueming brings a few high-level divine emperors with him, we will be seeking death. Lu Ming said. That's right. These monstrous geniuses were not lone wolves. They had huge clans behind them. As long as Xueming brought a group of experts with him, they would not be able to make a move. Chapter 38-26. If Xueming brought a group of experts with him, the two of them wouldn't be able to do anything. Unless Ling Yue also brought a group of experts from the elf clan, then their plan and the matter of the life spirit origin stone would be exposed. So, it's about the next step of the plan. It's the most important. Over the years, I have refined a secret treasure. With my special physique, I can move the entire blood god fruit tree away without letting the energy of the blood god fruit disappear. Then, I can move the blood god fruit tree to a place where experts of the divine emperor realm cannot enter. In this way, even if Xueming can bring people with him, he can only bring people of the quasi-emperor realm. For us, the quasi-emperor realm is not a problem. Ling Yue also explained the next step of the plan. Lu Ming couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Ling Yue's plan was so meticulous that she had calculated every step. It could be said to be flawless. It could be seen that Ling Yue had been planning to deal with Xueming for a long time. This woman was very scary. Lu Ming secretly warned himself in his heart that he had to be careful when cooperating with this woman. If he was careless, he would be swallowed whole by her. Where is the location of the blood god fruit? Also, where do you want to transplant the blood god fruit tree? Lu Ming asked. The blood god fruit is in the blood shadow fiend land, and the best place to transplant it is in the Pangshen ruins. The Pangshen ruins is a ruin left behind by a powerful force in the ancient times. In this ruin, there is an incomparably powerful array formation. Existences above the divine emperor realm cannot enter, or else they will be attacked by the great array formation. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded. In fact, many forces would have similar formations. Experts who had reached a certain level of cultivation would not be able to enter. Only the weak could enter. This was also a form of protection for their own forces. What if an expert suddenly attacked from the inside? Lu Ming chatted with Ling Yue for a while. After that, Lu Ming went through the plan in his mind and found that it was indeed feasible. Xueming could not resist the temptation of the blood god fruit. His main body would come out and snatch the blood god fruit. That would be their chance. All right, the plan is set. Let's go to the blood shadow fiend land and transplant the blood god fruit tree. Lu Ming said. Then, the two of them set off for the blood shadow demonic land. The blood shadow demonic land was actually not very far from the territory controlled by the blood demon tribe. However, it was a long distance away from the territory controlled by the multi-hand race. Even if there were wormholes, there were still some roads that weren't connected by wormholes. It took the two of them half a month to reach the blood shadow demonic land. The blood shadow demonic land was an extremely special place. In the starry sky, there were numerous continents floating. The number of these continents was shocking, and it was impossible to see the end of them. Within the endless mainland, there was a blood chi that shrouded the entire place, making it look hazy. According to legends, the blood shadow demonic land was a huge planet in the distant past. This planet wasn't an ordinary one. It was similar to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Although it wasn't as big as the Dragon Clan's mother planet, it wasn't too far off. In the primitive universe, there were all kinds of celestial bodies that could give birth to living beings. There were all kinds of small kiliocosms and medium kiliocosms. There were also floating mountains, floating islands, and floating continents in the universe. Of course, the most common celestial body was still the planet. There were many types of planets. For example, planets that could give birth to life, planets that could mine ores, or planets that could grow divine medicines. There were also some desolate planets. As for the planets of life, they were also divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. Most of the planets that Lu Ming had seen were the most ordinary ones. There were also high-level planets and super planets. The highest level was the mother planet of the various races. It was born at the beginning of the universe and had given birth to primordial gods, such as the Dragon Clan's mother planet. As for the Blood Shadow demonic land, at the beginning, it was a super planet. Later on, a super war broke out and this super planet was destroyed, forming the Blood Shadow demonic land. Legend has it that a powerful existence fell in the Blood Shadow demonic land. His blood scattered everywhere, and his blood aura didn't dissipate for countless years, forming the Blood Shadow demonic land. Furthermore, because of this blood aura, many evil creatures were born inside. Be careful when you enter later. Ling Yue reminded. Lu Ming nodded. The two of them flew into the Blood Shadow demonic land like two streaks of light. As soon as they entered the Blood Shadow demonic land, the blood mist rushed towards the two of them. It was extremely corrosive, and Ling Yue circulated her divine power to block it. As for Lu Ming, he naturally didn't need to circulate his divine power. His skin was a powerful defensive force that blocked the corrosion of the blood mist. Kill, kill, kill. Moreover, waves of roars came out from the blood mist. It was like a demonic sound that shook one's soul. Those with weak willpower would be affected by this demonic sound, causing them to go crazy and go berserk. However, Lu Ming and Ling Yue were both extraordinary people. Their willpower was firm, so this bit of demonic sound was nothing to them. Ling Yue took out a map and looked at it. There were tens of millions of floating continents here. Without a map, finding a blood god fruit tree would be like finding a needle in a haystack. The two of them flew in the same direction. Jia. Suddenly, strange cries could be heard. Then, a large group of blood-colored birds rushed out from a continent and rushed towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. They were like countless streaks of bloodlight. Let me do it! Ling Yue shouted. In her hand, an emerald-green longbow had unknowingly appeared. Ling Yue pulled the bowstring, and an emerald-green arrow immediately condensed. Wang! Releasing the bowstring, the emerald-green arrow flew out like a bolt of lightning. An astonishing scene appeared. The emerald-green arrow flew out and continuously split apart. 1 divided into 2, 2 divided into 4, 4 divided into 8, 8 divided into 16. The speed at which it split was extremely fast. In a breath's time, the sky was filled with emerald-green arrows. When the arrows approached the strange birds, the sky was filled with arrows. It was unknown how many there were. Puff, puff, puff. The blood-colored birds that filled the sky were struck by the arrows, pierced through by the arrows and fell to the ground. In just an instant, the densely packed blood-colored birds were all killed. What a powerful method! Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. This kind of archery skill really made people gasp in amazement. This was only Ling Yue's casual attack. If she were to seriously attack, who knew how powerful she would be? She was ranked 16th on the Quasi-Emperor Top 100 list, a proud daughter of heaven on the Pearl list. She was definitely an influential figure in the universe. Although Lu Ming had a taboo body, he didn't dare to underestimate these monsters. After the strange birds were killed, the two of them continued forward. Next, the two of them would be attacked by various strange creatures from time to time. However, these creatures weren't very strong and were easily killed by the two of them. The two of them took turns to attack and quickly flew over 100 continents. Chapter 38-27. The two continued to fly towards the location of the blood god fruit tree. Boom! Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from not far ahead. Rays of divine light burst forth, accompanied by strange roars. In front, there was a group of people wearing blood-red robes, surrounding and killing a group of blood-red tiger-like creatures. And this group of blood-red tigers was surrounding a blood-red flower. Hurry up and kill these beasts. We can't let these beasts destroy the blood demon flower. A youth wearing a blood-red robe with a golden skull embroidered on it gave the order. The tiger-like life forms were mostly 3rd level to 6th level Divine Lord existences. And these blood-robed people were all 7th level Divine Lord and above. Their combat strength was much stronger. Under a series of attacks, the tiger-like life forms were all slain. That youth picked the blood demon flower in joy. Let's go, Ling Yue said. She didn't want to cause any more trouble and wanted to go around from the side. Stop them. The two of them hadn't flown far when a cold voice sounded from the blood-robed youth. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. With a flash, more than a dozen blood-robed people surrounded Lu Ming and Ling Yue. The blood-robed youth walked over and stared at Ling Yue, completely ignoring Lu Ming. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect to meet such a beauty in such a place. The heavens are really biased towards me. Ha ha ha. The blood-robed youth laughed loudly, an evil light flashing in his eyes. Ling Yue's face darkened. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It seemed that this fellow had taken a fancy to Ling Yue. Scram! Ling Yue shouted coldly. Being looked at by the blood-robed youth like this, she felt uncomfortable all over. Oh, your temper isn't small, but I like it. You guys, kill that brat and control this girl. Leave her to me to deal with. The blood-robed youth gave the order. Brat, die for me. An 8th-level Divine Lord old man held a sharp sword and stabbed at Lu Ming. The sword light was sharp and went straight for Lu Ming's glabella, wanting to kill Lu Ming in one strike. But an ordinary 8th-level Divine Lord really didn't enter Lu Ming's eyes. Bang! Lu Ming moved later but arrived first. He kicked out and accurately kicked the old man's face. The old man screamed as his body flew out like a broken sack. His face was completely deformed. Everyone else was stunned. He did not expect that Lu Ming's strength was so strong, defeating an 8th-level Divine Lord powerhouse in one move. How dare you hit my men? Let's attack together and cripple this brat. The blood-robed youth roared furiously. Boom! Boom! More than a dozen blood-robed men emitted powerful auras as they charged towards Lu Ming. These people, there were 7th-level Divine Lords, and there were also 8th-level and 9th-level Divine Lords. There were even 2 quasi-emperor-level figures. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold, his heart filled with killing intent. Since these people didn't know what was good for them, he didn't mind sending them on their way. However, before Lu Ming could make a move, Ling Yue had already made her move. An arrow suddenly flew out of Ling Yue's hand. This arrow seemed to have a mind of its own as it danced in the air like a bolt of lightning. Puff, puff, puff. Blood splattered in all directions. More than a dozen blood-robed men, including the blood-soaked youth, were shot at the same time. Some people were shot in the chest, some in the shoulder, and the blood-robed youth was shot in one of his eyes. However, these people did not die. Clearly, Ling Yue had shown mercy. More than a dozen blood-robed men looked at Ling Yue in horror. Ling Yue's strength was too terrifying. More than a dozen experts, including 2 quasi-emperors, were injured in an instant. Get lost! Ling Yue shouted coldly. The blood-robed youth and the others hurriedly ran away in fear. You're not going to kill them? Lu Ming said. There's no deep hatred. I'll give them a chance. If there's a next time, I won't show mercy. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming shook his head slightly. This Ling Yue still had the temper of a big race's young miss. She probably didn't have much experience. If it were Lu Ming, since he had made a move, he wouldn't show mercy to avoid future troubles. However, Lu Ming wouldn't deliberately chase after her. Next, the two of them continued to move forward. Just like that, a few days passed and they finally approached their destination. In front of them was a huge continent. The blood mist on this continent was denser than in other places, and the creatures it nurtured were also more powerful. The two of them restrained their auras, avoided those creatures, and arrived at a valley. In the depths of the valley, blood energy filled the air, and the situation inside could not be seen clearly. The blood god fruit tree should be in the depths of this valley. Let's go in. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded and stepped into the valley with Ling Yue. Roar! Roar! Suddenly, furious roars came from all directions, and the ground began to rumble. It was as if an army of thousands of men and horses were charging toward them. Countless monsters charged towards them. In the sky, a group of blood-robed people appeared. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and saw the blood-soaked youth from before. Go to hell, you 2 bastards. Those blood-soaked youths revealed ferocious expressions, their killing intent as cold as knives. Ling Yue's face immediately darkened. Obviously, these monsters were lured here by the blood-soaked youth and the others. Their goal was to borrow the power of the monsters to kill Lu Ming and the others. You're courting death. Ling Yue shouted coldly. She spared the other party's life, but the other party actually came to kill her, which made her want to kill. Buzz! The emerald green longbow reappeared, and the arrows flew out, turning into countless emerald green arrows. Immediately, a large number of monsters were killed by the arrows. In the blink of an eye, thousands of powerful monsters were killed. So strong! In the sky, the blood-robed people's expressions changed, shocked by Ling Yuwei's strength. However, they were not afraid, because this time, there were god emperors following them. Swish! At this time, Lu Ming soared into the sky and rushed towards the blood-robed youth and the others. A 7th-level divine lord dares to come up. You're courting death. Go and kill him. The blood-robed youth shouted coldly. Immediately, a quasi-emperor stepped out, turned into a sword light, and charged towards Lu Ming. In their opinion, Ling Yuwei was a quasi-emperor, so she was a great threat. As for Lu Ming, he was only a 7th-level divine lord. How much of a threat could he be? A quasi-emperor was more than enough to deal with him. Boom! Lu Ming punched out, aiming at the other party's sword light. When the sword gleam collided with Lu Ming's fist, the sword gleam directly collapsed. The fist force did not stop and continued to crush the other party. The crimson-robed quasi-emperor did not even have the chance to scream. Under the crushing force of Lu Ming's fist, the crimson-robed man exploded and his body and soul were destroyed. How is this possible? The blood-robed youth and the other blood-robed people couldn't help but widen their eyes. A 7th-level divine lord killed a quasi-emperor in one move. Monster. This was a peerless monster. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 38-28. Boom. Lu Ming stepped in the air, reaching the same height as the blood-robed youth and the rest. He stepped forward and headed toward the blood-robed youth. He was going to kill all of them. Little boy, do you know who I am? I'm the young master of the Blood Skull Pirate Group. You dare to kill our people. We'll take revenge on you. Shouted the young man in the blood-red robe. So you're from the Blood Skull Pirate Group. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He knew about the pirate group. The great desolate universe was too vast. In the boundless starry sky, there were opportunities everywhere. This naturally gave birth to countless interstellar pirates and interstellar pirate groups. However, most of the interstellar pirate groups were not that strong. However, among all the interstellar pirate crews, there were some who were extremely powerful. They were one of the top 10 interstellar pirate groups. The Bloody Hole Pirate Group was one of the top 10 interstellar pirate groups. The top 10 interstellar pirate groups were extremely strong. They were as strong as some of the strongest clans in the primitive universe. It turned out that those people were from one of the top 10 interstellar pirate groups. No wonder they were so bold and ruthless. However, Lu Ming was not afraid. Of course he was not afraid. He continued to step forward, causing the void to tremble violently. The young man in the blood-red robe was furious. He shouted, "Kill that bastard!" Boom! An old man next to the young man in the blood-red robe stepped forward. His chi was as deep as the sea. It moved towards Lu Ming to suppress him. At the same time, an extremely sharp sword gleam burst forth, piercing through the void and piercing toward Lu Ming's glabella. That old man was a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. That was why the young man in the blood-red robe was so confident. However, he was just an ordinary cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. Lu Ming did not take him seriously. Lu Ming activated his battle formula and punched the old man in the blood-red robe. His fist chi was as strong as a mountain. It destroyed everything in its path. As soon as the opponent's sword light touched Lu Ming's fist strength, it violently shook and then exploded with a bang. The old man's expression changed drastically. His hands trembled rapidly, and blood chi filled the air. An even more powerful sword light shot out and collided with Lu Ming's fist energy. With a boom, the old man's body trembled violently and he retreated rapidly. His body trembled, and a trickle of blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. This is impossible? The blood-robed youth's eyes widened as he shouted in disbelief. Lu Ming actually injured a divine sovereign with one punch. A mere 7th-level divine lord. How was this possible? He found it hard to believe. But the truth was right in front of him, and he had no choice but to believe it. Kill! Lu Ming bellowed and punched with both fists. One fist energy after another pierced through the void toward the Blood Skull pirates. The fist energy shot out at an astonishing speed, and many of the Blood Skull pirates were reduced to ashes before they could even react. Lu Ming didn't hold back at all. When he had attacked, he had already planned to kill them all. After the fist energy filled the sky, only 3 people survived. 2 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer took the blood-robed youth and retreated hastily. However, The two cultivators of the first godly emperor layer had joined hands to block Lu Ming's attack, and they had both been injured. "Hurry up and run! He's a monster! Hurry up and run!" shouted a big godly emperor layer cultivator. His voice was trembling, and he looked terrified. However, as soon as he finished talking, an arrow streaked across the sky and shot towards him. Slash! That person didn't even have time to react before the arrow pierced through his forehead and destroyed his soul. It was Ling Yue, of course. She had killed a godly emperor with one arrow. "Let's go!" shouted the remaining godly emperor layer cultivator. He was terrified, and quickly retreated with the blood-robed youth. However, Lu Ming waved his hand and 3 gravity pearls flew out. A terrifying pressure enveloped the sky. Ah! The blood-robed youth couldn't resist such a terrifying gravity. He was directly crushed by the gravity and died on the spot. The godly emperor layer cultivator also vomited blood. He was severely injured. The combined force of 3 gravity orbs was simply too terrifying. "Ah, you killed the young master. My Blood Skull pirate group will definitely take revenge. You just wait. Your end will be very miserable," the blood-robed elder shouted in despair. Swoosh! Lu Ming's figure was like a ghost. He appeared in front of the elder and punched him. The elder screamed and his body was torn apart. He died on the spot. The experts of the Blood Skull pirate group had been completely wiped out by Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Lu Ming stood in the sky and looked around. He found that the monsters from before had all been killed by Ling Yue. Lu Ming was shocked. Ling Yue was worthy of being ranked 16th on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. Her battle strength was terrifying. She was probably much stronger than 9 Silkworm Prince. If Lu Ming didn't rely on Xueqi now, even if he used his full strength, he probably wouldn't be a match for Ling Yue. "Let's go in," Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded silently. The two of them flew into the valley. This valley was very big, very wide, and also very deep. The blood fog was very dense. The two of them restrained their auras and focused on their surroundings. The blood chi here was so dense that the two of them were afraid that it would give birth to very powerful monsters. However, the two of them didn't see a single monster after walking for a while. This valley was very quiet. It was too quiet. Something's wrong. It's too quiet. There's not even a trace of wind, and there are no monsters. Lu Ming frowned. Indeed. Although the monsters attracted by the Blood Skull pirate group attacked us, they stopped at the entrance of the valley. They seemed to be very afraid and didn't dare to enter the valley. Ling Yue said. "It seems that this valley is not simple." Lu Ming said. "We're almost there. When we see the Blood God fruit tree, I'll end the battle quickly and move the seal away as soon as possible." Ling Yue said, her brows slightly furrowed. All top geniuses had extremely sharp spiritual senses, and their perception of danger was also very sharp. Ling Yue was the same as Lu Ming. She also had a bad feeling. However, they had already walked here and were about to arrive. There was no reason to retreat. The two of them continued forward. Suddenly, a strong medicinal fragrance came from ahead. "We're here. It's really the Blood God fruit." Ling Yue's eyes lit up, revealing a look of pleasant surprise. Lu Ming also saw it. Not far ahead, there was a small tree about 1 meter tall. It was completely blood-red and filled with blood chi. Between the branches of the small tree, there was a fist-sized fruit hanging there. The fruit seemed to be condensed from endless blood, emitting a dense bloody light. Within the bloody light, there seemed to be a figure sitting cross-legged. Strangely, there was no smell of blood. Instead, there was a medicinal fragrance. Chapter 38-29. This was the Blood God fruit tree and the Blood God fruit. "Let's begin. I'll seal it. You protect me." Ling Yue whispered to Lu Ming. "Don't worry." Lu Ming nodded and the two of them walked towards the Blood God fruit tree. But at that moment, rustle, rustle, rustle. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the ground. Then, 2 eyes that were bigger than a water jar appeared. They were blood-red. Following it, the figure of an enormous creature appeared. It was a huge snake with blood-red eyes. It stared at Lu Ming and Ling Yue. "Says." The snake screamed and swam towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Its tongue was like a red sword, stabbing towards Ling Yue. Its tail was like a soft whip, lashing towards Lu Ming. Its aura was extremely violent and terrifying. Second layer of the Divine Emperor realm. As soon as the snake made its move, they could feel that it was a second-layer Divine Emperor realm existence. Xiao. Ling Yue made her move. An emerald green arrow shot out and collided with the blood-red snake's tongue, blocking its attack. Lu Ming directly took out 3 gravity pearls. The powerful gravity enveloped the snake, slowing it down a little. Lu Ming punched the snake's tail twice in a row. Suddenly, he felt a terrifying power surging towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming retreated. What a strong power! Lu Ming was shocked. It wasn't like he had never fought against cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. In Gale Galaxy, he had fought against cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. Even without Xueqi and the great godly wind technique, he could still fight against ordinary cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. However, he had been pushed back just now. This huge snake's battle strength was extremely terrifying. Its strength was astonishing, far stronger than an ordinary second-layer Divine Emperor realm existence. This huge snake should be the monster guarding the blood god fruit tree. Its strength is astonishing. It needs the 2 of us to work together. Ling Yue said. Let's attack together. Lu Ming said as he charged towards the snake. A powerful gravitational force enveloped the serpent, causing its speed to decrease. At the same time, Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique. His body was wrapped in a gale, and his speed increased explosively. In an instant, he approached the serpent. His palm was like a knife, and it slashed towards the serpent's neck. Lu Ming had already used the Great Divine Wind technique, and his palms were wrapped in a terrifying cutting power. However, when Lu Ming's palm cut across the snake's neck, he encountered a huge resistance. His palm cut across the snake's skin, causing a trace of blood to seep out. However, he didn't seriously injure the snake. At the same time that Lu Ming made his move, Ling Yue also made her move. Elven Royal Bow. Ling Yue shouted. Her body glowed, and a huge battle bow appeared. This bow was larger than any of the bows that Ling Yue had used before. This was her origin secret technique. Wang. The bowstring vibrated, and a 100-meter-long arrow shot out, piercing towards the snake's head. Puff. The arrow that Ling Yue shot out was shockingly powerful. It actually broke through the snake's defense and pierced through its body. However, it only pierced through half a meter, and the rest was still blocked. Sealing arrow. Ling Yue shot out an arrow, followed by another arrow. However, the second arrow was different from the first. After the second arrow was shot out, it immediately dispersed into hundreds of arrows. On each arrow, dense runes appeared. Bang, bang, bang. Hundreds of arrows all landed on the snake's body. It was like an ordinary wooden arrow hitting a rock, producing the sound of a blunt object hitting a rock. Not a single arrow broke through the snake's defense. Furthermore, all of the arrows had exploded. However, the runes and symbols on them were like countless little insects crawling onto the snake's body. In an instant, the snake's body was covered by countless runes. Caesar. The snake hissed and struggled with all its might. However, its movements became slower and slower. Is this the sealing power that Ling Yue mentioned? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Ling Yue said that her physique was special and had a powerful sealing power. She could even seal the aura of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. Combined with a secret treasure, it should be this kind of sealing power that could seal the blood god fruit's medicinal effects. It was indeed very mysterious. Under the dual effects of gravity and the seal, the snake's speed became very slow. Lu Ming and Ling Yue naturally wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Boom! Lu Ming suddenly made his move. His palm was like a rapidly spinning sharp sword, piercing towards one of the snake's eyes. Eyes were the snake's weakness. At the same time, Ling Yue's arrow also shot towards the snake's other eye. As expected, both of their attacks hit their targets. The snake's eyes exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Saga. The snake twisted its body crazily, lashing out crazily, but it did not hit Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Shua! Shua! Lu Ming and Ling Yue's figures flashed as they continued to attack. One attack after another, they continuously attacked the snake's eye sockets. A terrifying destructive force rushed into the snake's eye sockets and broke through its body, completely destroying its brain. The snake struggled for a while before it slowly stopped moving. In the end, it collapsed to the ground without any signs of life. Whoosh whoosh. Lu Ming and Ling Yue heaved a sigh of relief. This huge snake was not easy to deal with. Its strength was shocking, and its defense was even stronger. Fortunately, the two of them had worked together to take down this huge snake. If it had been alone, it would not have been so easy. Of course, Lu Ming had Xueqi. If he let Xueqi take action, he would be able to easily kill this big snake. However, Lu Ming did not want to expose Xueqi's strength so easily. Furthermore, Lu Ming did not want to let Xueqi take action unless it was necessary. In the Gale Star River, Xueqi had swallowed an entire star worth of metal ore. The energy was simply too strong. Although Xueqi had evolved to the second level of the Divine Emperor realm, that star had not been completely refined. During this period of time, Xueqi had been quietly refining. If he were to take action, it would disturb him. Lu Ming walked over and kicked the snake's corpse to the side. Then, he looked around and protected Ling Yue. Ling Yue did not delay at all. She arrived in front of the blood god fruit tree and took out a jade bottle. This jade bottle was a secret treasure that Ling Yue had spent a lot of effort to create. Combined with her sealing power, it could ensure that the blood god fruit's medicinal effects would not be lost. Without her sealing power, this secret technique alone would be useless. Ling Yue placed the jade bottle beside the blood god fruit tree, and then her body emitted a strange light. Lu Ming seemed to see countless tiny runes appear on the surface of Ling Yue's body. Then, they followed Ling Yue's palm and crawled towards the blood god fruit tree. Very quickly, the blood god fruit tree was covered in tiny runes. Shua shua, Ling Yue's hands continued to form seals, controlling even more runes to climb towards the blood god fruit tree. Especially the blood god fruit, it was given special attention. At this moment, something unexpected happened. Chapter 38:30. Just as Ling Yue was trying her best to seal the blood god fruit tree and transplant it, a sudden change occurred. In the depths of the canyon, a dense blood energy suddenly emerged. This blood energy condensed into blood pythons that swallowed Ling Yue. These blood pythons were not real pythons, nor were they monsters born from blood energy. They were only condensed from blood energy. Lu Ming's expression changed. At this moment, Ling Yue was at a critical moment and could not be disturbed. Otherwise, not to mention the fact that the blood god fruit tree could not be successfully sealed, if it caused a tremor, the energy of those runes could destroy the blood god fruit tree. Lu Ming's figure moved and appeared in front of the blood pythons. He used the Great Divine Wind technique and slapped out with both of his palms. Immediately, a violent wind rose in all directions and a terrifying gale rushed towards the blood pythons. A series of explosions rang out, and the blood pythons were all blocked. However, as the blood energy churned, more blood pythons condensed and pounced towards Lu Ming. There were even more of them. Lu Ming used the gravity orb to resist with all his might, but the blood energy was getting denser and denser. The number of blood pythons that were condensed also increased, and their power also increased. Lu Ming was gradually losing his strength. At this time, the blood god fruit tree was still not successfully sealed. Lu Ming could only grit his teeth and resist, pushing his battle prowess to the limit. As long as they could delay until Ling Yue successfully sealed it, they could immediately leave this place. In the blink of an eye, several minutes had passed. At this moment, the blood pythons and the blood energy suddenly shrank and gathered towards the depths of the valley. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. Roar! Suddenly, a low roar came from the depths of the valley. Then, a terrifying suction force suddenly erupted and acted on Lu Ming's body. This is bad. Lu Ming's expression changed greatly because this suction force was too terrifying. Lu Ming was actually unable to stabilize his body and flew towards the depths of the valley. Xueqi. Lu Ming's heart stirred as he sent a sound transmission to Xueqi. At this time, he could only disturb Xueqi. On his wrist, the ball quickly wriggled and turned into a silver spear. Lu Ming shouted loudly and thrust his spear towards the depths of the valley. A moonlight spear light broke into the depths of the valley, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea, not causing a single splash. Lu Ming was still flying towards the valley along with that powerful force. Xueqi exploded with all his might, wanting to rush out, but it was useless. The suction force was too terrifying. Swish! Lu Ming could not stabilize his body at all. He flew directly into the depths of the valley. At this moment, Lu Ming saw that Ling Yue had successfully sealed the blood god fruit tree and placed it in the jade bottle. When Ling Yue saw that Lu Ming had been attracted into the valley, her face revealed a look of panic. She shouted and shot an arrow at the valley with all her might. However, it was still like a stone sinking into the sea, not causing the slightest ripple. This was the last time Lu Ming saw Ling Yue. The next moment, he flew into the depths of the valley, his line of sight blocked by the thick blood aura. After passing through the thick blood qi, he arrived at the end of the valley. However, at the end of the valley there was a cave. The strong suction force came from this cave. Lu Ming couldn't help but fly into the cave. In the next moment, the suction force disappeared. Lu Ming discovered that he was already in a huge cave. Lu Ming immediately became cautious. That is, suddenly Lu Ming's eyes widened. Because in front of him, he saw a huge python. This python actually had a pair of flesh spikes, but on its head, there was also a pair of dragon horns. It was very strange. Lu Ming had never seen such a python before. The python was extremely huge. Its body was curled up like a mountain. Its huge eyes stared at Lu Ming. What a powerful body, what a vigorous blood qi. A mere divine lord has such a powerful blood qi. It's really rare. If I refine you, it will definitely be a great supplement. The giant python opened its mouth, greed flashing in its eyes. Were you the one who sucked me in? Lu Ming stared at the python and asked. Other than me, who else could it be? Kid, become my nourishment. The giant python opened its bloody maw and spat out a gust of bloody qi. No, this was not blood qi. This was a kind of blood flame. The blood flame had an astonishingly high temperature. Before it even got close to Lu Ming felt a terrifying temperature spreading towards him. This temperature gave Lu Ming an extremely dangerous feeling. Lu Ming did not hesitate and retreated. You want to retreat in front of me? How naive. Suppress. The python said coldly. Then, a terrifying pressure acted on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming actually found it hard to move. This python was terrifyingly strong. It was unknown what realm it was at. Bas! Xueqi turned into a silver-white spear, bursting out with resplendent spear light, wanting to break through this pressure. What a strange metallic life form. Interesting. I'll study it later. The python looked at Xueqi curiously. It tilted its head slightly and Xueqi left Lu Ming's body. It flew away and crashed into a wall, unable to move. With Xueqi's current cultivation level, it could kill ordinary cultivators of the 4th godly emperor layer. However, in front of this python it could not fight back at all. Whoosh, whoosh. The blood flame enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming sensed a terrifying heat and a destructive strength penetrating into Lu Ming's body. It wanted to burn Lu Ming. How could Lu Ming take this lying down? All the cells in his body began to tremble. The taboo force was fully unleashed to resist the erosion of the blood flame. The python's eyes suddenly opened wide. It couldn't believe it, and then it was overjoyed. Forbidden strength. It's forbidden strength. Surprisingly, it's a forbidden body. Ha ha ha. I'm so lucky. That thread of forbidden strength is mine. The python actually recognized the taboo power, and its eyes burned with a burning flame and thick greed. The blood flames in its mouth became more intense and they surged toward Lu Ming crazily. Even if you have forbidden strength, you can't fuse with it. Forbidden strength isn't something that just anyone can fuse with. Lu Ming gave a long howl. You're right. Forbidden strength isn't something that just anyone can fuse with. Even I can't do it, but so what? I will turn you into my puppet and let you continue growing. In the future, you will become a sharp weapon in my hands. Ha ha ha. Back then, I was lucky enough to survive. Someday, I will definitely get my revenge. Ha ha ha. The python burst into laughter. It was extremely excited. Lu Ming's heart sank. That python was terrifyingly strong. He didn't know where it came from. According to legends, the blood shadow demonic land was created by the blood of an extremely strong cultivator. Was that python the one who had created the blood? Chapter 38-31. Qi. The blood flame enveloped Lu Ming, burning him continuously. From the inside to the outside, every part of his body was enveloped by the blood flame. Lu Ming resisted with all his might with the taboo power. In this way, the potential stored in the depths of Lu Ming's cells was all stimulated at once. Lu Ming felt that there was powerful energy surging out of every cell in his body. The potential that he had stored up was completely depleted in an instant. Boom! Under the eruption of this potential, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed all of a sudden. He broke through. Under the pressure of this terrifying blood flame, Lu Ming's potential exploded all at once. Lu Ming's cultivation also broke through from the 7th level Divine Lord Realm to the 8th level Divine Lord Realm, increasing his strength greatly. Unfortunately, this python was too strong. It was not something that could be dealt with by breaking through one level of cultivation. Even if Lu Ming broke through to the 8th level Divine Lord Realm, he could not move at all. He could only resist for a little longer. Broke through? Amazing! Amazing! Is this the taboo body? Under danger, it stimulated his potential and broke through his cultivation. Good, ha ha ha. The python laughed loudly. The greed in its eyes became even stronger. It could not wait to get Lu Ming in its hands. There's no other way. I can only rely on the purple copper coffin. Lu Ming thought. Unless it was a last resort, Lu Ming really did not want to touch the purple copper coffin. Because as his cultivation increased, he increasingly felt the evilness and danger of the purple copper coffin. This thing was a double-edged sword. If he was not careful, he would play himself to death. But now, he had no choice but to use it. Even if he really played himself to death, he could not let this python get away with it. With a thought, the purple copper coffin appeared. The python's eyes were staring at the purple copper coffin. With its cultivation, its spiritual sense was also abnormally sharp. It instinctively felt that the purple copper coffin was very scary. Therefore, the python directly attacked. Its tail exploded the space and whipped towards the purple copper coffin. Kacha! The sound of metal rubbing against each other could be heard as the lid of the purple copper coffin opened slightly. Lu Ming was shocked. He was not the one who had opened the purple copper coffin. The lid of the purple copper coffin had opened by itself. It was just a tiny gap, yet a terrifying aura was emitted from it. When Lu Ming was still very weak, facing this aura, he only felt that it was very terrifying, unstoppable, and difficult to resist. Now, Lu Ming was many times more powerful than before. However, in the face of this force, he still felt that it was unstoppable and unstoppable. It was incomparably terrifying. The python's pupils shrank rapidly, revealing a look of fear. Kacha! The sound of metal rubbing against each other continued. The lid of the purple copper coffin opened even more. Boom! An even more terrifying aura burst out, shaking the heavens and the earth. It was as if there was an incomparably terrifying creature within the copper coffin that was about to break out of the coffin. The blood flames on Lu Ming's body were swept away by this aura, disappearing without a trace. Lu Ming's body returned to normal in an instant. The python's pupils shrank in fear as it retreated rapidly. At the same time it roared. What is in this coffin of yours? What the hell is it? However, before the python could retreat far enough, something strange happened. Suddenly, an arm stretched out from the purple copper coffin. This arm was covered with green scales, looking ferocious and terrifying. At first, the arm was only the size of a normal person's arm, but after it stretched out, it rapidly expanded. Moreover, there was a chain wrapped around the arm, one end wrapped around the arm, and the other end extended into the purple copper coffin. Clang, clang, clang. The chains trembled, and his arm grew. His fingertips were covered with sharp purple armor as he grabbed at the python. Before he even reached it, a terrifying energy was already pressing down on the python. Roar! The python roared and the entire rock cave shook. Its aura soared to the sky and a terrifying aura erupted, causing Lu Ming's heart to tremble violently. Terrifying. Extremely terrifying. This python's cultivation was probably above the Divine Emperor realm. The python's potential was unleashed. Its tail was like a long spear, piercing towards the claw that was covered with scales as if it could pierce through everything. However, the tail that seemed to be able to pierce through everything did not pierce through the claw that was covered with scales. It only made a dong sound when it hit the claw, and then there was no further movement. Instead, the claw grabbed the python's tail, causing the python to be extremely frightened. It struggled with all its might. An ray of divine light shot out from its mouth towards the claw that was covered with scales. This attack was extremely terrifying. If it was outside, it could destroy a large area of the starry sky and countless planets. However, when it landed on the claw that was covered with scales, it had no effect at all. Not even a single scale fell off. The claw that was covered with scales slightly shook the python's tail. Crack, crack. It was like shaking a whip. The python's entire body shook, and its bones made cracking sounds as it broke into dozens of pieces. The python's huge body became limp, unable to exert any strength. It was really like a soft whip. The claw that was covered with scales suddenly grew bigger, and it grabbed the python and then pulled it back into the copper coffin. No, 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 what kind of copper coffin is this? Why is there a living primitive divine spirit? No. The python roared in horror, and divine light kept flowing out of its body. It wanted to break free from the claw that was covered with scales, but it was useless. In a breath, the claw that was covered with scales retracted back into the copper coffin, and the python was naturally pulled in as well. With a clang, the lid of the copper coffin closed automatically, and the terrifying aura disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. His eyes were wide open, and he could not react for a long time, because all of this happened too suddenly, and it was too unbelievable. After a while, Lu Ming slowly calmed down, but his heart was in turmoil. Was the python's last roar real? A living primitive divine spirit? Did the claw that was covered with scales just now belong to the primitive divine spirit? Is there really a primitive divine spirit buried in the copper coffin? But why is there a chain wrapped around that arm? It seems like it's being chained. Lu Ming's thoughts drifted and his imagination ran wild. There were too many questions that he could not figure out. If it was a living primitive divine spirit, why was it hiding in a copper coffin? Furthermore, why were they chained up? Why did it take down the python just now? Why didn't it attack him? There were many questions that Lu Ming could not figure out. However, he could not open the purple copper coffin to ask about it. The existence inside was too terrifying. He was already very lucky that it did not attack him. If it was unhappy and gave him a slap, wouldn't he be wronged? You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.